um, I think this is situated correctly. Yeah, I like this right here. Probably turn on some more. Oh, I already got the light. Okay. All right. Let me grab this. And I'm gonna log in to live stream on my desktop so I can look at the comments from there instead of doing it from here. Okay. Happy Spider-Man Day, by the way. We take out the boy right here. This is from the 1994 Spider-Man the animated series. I wanted this way back in the day when I was still going to KB Toy Store. KB Toy Store was still around in 1994, I think. And I used to see it. And I was like, I want that, but I thought I was too grown to get it. That's why I didn't get it because I was like, oh, I'm too grown to get this, even though I wanted it. Had I known about the whole collector's vibe, which really didn't kick off until the release of the Spawn action figures by Todd McFarlane. He started his own toy line, McFarlane Toys, after their own toys from Image Comics weren't able to get licensed from like the big toy lines like Mattel or Hasbro. He started his own toy line for his Spawn figures and for other characters from Image Comics, and that actually started the adult collectibles, uh, which has gone on till today. So we're gonna get into some YouTube, but you guys can ask me questions while I'm watching YouTube, of course. The funny thing is, I'm not gonna lie, KB Toy Store was sometimes kind of disappointing. The stuff they had, you were always, but it was inviting when you walk by and you see the little electronic toys in the front. It was usually like the electronic barking dog that backflips, or you would see one of those little electronic toy things where it swirls around the little. I forgot what you call it, but yeah. Anyway, let me log. Let me connect so I can see stuff. And I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna start watching YouTube stuff. But and it just so happens that uh, this is the opening weekend of Spider-Man Brand New Day that happens on Batman. Sorry, Spider-Man Day. Interestingly enough, I just looked this up. Literally, just looked this up a few minutes ago. Spider-Man Day and Batman Day first came about in 2014, which makes sense. They are the two biggest superheroes. Like you can bank on those two superheroes when it comes to movies. Superman is the third of the big three superheroes. Is Batman, Superman, Spider Man. Although I would say probably if we were ranking them in terms of favoritism, it would be Batman, Spider Man, and Superman. Either way, Superman was the very first superhero, so he should be in the top three. And he's just a great character. However, he is hard to implement in movies just because many adults don't know how to work with a character like that. They always try to say he's a bad character. He's not a bad character. He's a bad character for people who don't have, who are either too cynical or not, or they just don't know what to do with an all powerful superhero. Well, I mean, the comics showing what you do with an all powerful superhero. You make characters that are even more powerful. Hence, Dark Side. Hence, the the Superboy Prime, and Lobo, and Doomsday, and many other characters that he can't shake. That he can barely uh, fight. But anyway, so let me start this up. I'm gonna watch fun stuff, and I'm going to watch, and I'm gonna watch, some red pill stuff. Um, don't worry, I will not be watching anything that spoils the movie, and I'm not going to talk about anything that spoiled the movie. I haven't seen it yet either, but I'm not. Even if I did already see it yesterday, I wouldn't spoil it for people who might happen upon my live stream. I don't do that. I think it's a jerk move that all these YouTubers are always the first to try to come out and spoil the new movie. They did that with Endgame and a whole bunch of other movies, and that really turned me off. Especially when Endgame, I started blocking like Nerdist and other similar YouTube channels just because they kept trying to be the first one to put out these spoiler reviews. I'm like, the fuck. So don't worry, I won't be spoiling anything. I unlike them, I will wait at least 2 weeks or longer before I do such. I don't I don't do that. But anyway, off of that, let's watch something fun. And then again, I'm probably gonna get into some red pill stuff as well, because I like, you know, watching some of that stuff.
The concrete splits under boots that hit the ground like artillery rounds. The sky overhead isn't stormy,
And then when
it's
people come
dead.
in, I'll
A flat,
respond to the
chemical
comments or whatever.
gray sitting over the city
Again,
like a
happy
lid.
Spider-Man
The
Day,
Justice
August
League
1st.
lands in the rubble of a downtown corridor. And the Avengers are
The original
already
Batman Day
there
was also
waiting.
in
Because
2014,
something's wrong.
but it was
Their
July
eyes are
23rd,
lit with
2014.
a
But the
cold
next year,
synthetic
they
glow,
moved it to
like a
September
screen left
26th,
on in
which
an
is my
empty
birthday.
room. Every reflex is primed.
And so that
They're
was
not
special to
fighting
me.
for anything.
So I
They're
went
just
went to
executing a
Comic Con on
program.
September 26th.
Someone
It was
hijacked
Batman
the
Day and it was my
minds of
birthday,
Earth's
so it was a
mightiest
perfect
heroes. And
storm
if the League doesn't get
of
between them
factors
and
to
the
make
rest
that
of
a
the
really
city
enjoyable day
right
for
now,
someone who
there's nothing left
didn't
to
have
say.
anyone to hang
So
out
here's
with
the
at the
real
time. I
question.
wasn't with
Not
Mrs.
just who
Contrarian.
wins the
I
fight,
hadn't even met
but
her or
can the
known about
Justice
her
League
yet.
absorb enough punishment from mind-controlled gods and super
Was out of touch
soldiers
with
to
my
break the
closest
link
college
and pull
friends.
these people back?
So,
This is Mike, your host here on Nerd
you
Science.
know.
If you love breaking down pop culture with real science, hit the like button, subscribe, and get
But as you can see,
ready. We're
I'm a
grading
huge
every
Batman
fighter on a
fan.
tier of
But
survival scale
Spider-Man
from
is like
F to
like
S,
my
using real
second or third
physics to
favorite superhero.
explain
It's
why each
it's a
body
it's sort of a
bonds
toss up between
together
Wolverine and
or
Spider-Man, which is
doesn't.
my second favorite.
Round one, the peak human limit. Captain America moves first.
I'll
The
turn this up a
steps
little
are
bit too.
rigid, mechanical, no improvisation. Just the program telling his legs to close the
Hope you
distance and
guys are
eliminate the
enjoying.
target.
If you're not watching,
Batman
that's
doesn't
fine. I hope
retreat.
you guys are
He
enjoying your
holds the center of the
Saturday.
street and
If you
starts
watch this
scanning.
later
The first thing Bruce
on
solves
replay,
is the
hope you
shield.
enjoyed your Saturday.
Vibranium doesn't just
Hope you saw
resist a hit,
Spider-Man. If you're
it
into
soaks
those
up
sort of
the
movies like
energy of
I
the
am, I'm a
impact
geek
and stores it.
and a
What
nerd.
that
I'm a
means
nerd
is
and a geek.
simple. Every
There's a
punch
difference.
Batman throws at that disc, every batarang,
If
every
you want to know the difference,
explosive, does
ask me in the
nothing but
comments. Ask me
charge
what's
it.
the difference
The
between a
force is
geek
off
and a
the
nerd
table.
in the
He'd
comments.
just be loading Cap's next throw. So Batman
And
goes
I'm gonna rewind this because I want to hear this. Because I'm talking over the video and I want to hear it myself.
told gods and super soldiers
This
to
is
break
nerd
the
science, by
link
the way.
and pull these people back. This is Mike, your host here on Nerd Science. If you love breaking down pop culture with real science, hit the like button, subscribe, and get ready. We're grading every fighter on a tier of survival scale from F to S, using real physics to explain why each body holds together or doesn't. Round 1, the peak human limit. Captain America moves first. His steps are rigid, mechanical, no improvisation. Just the program telling his legs to close the distance and eliminate the target. Batman doesn't retreat. He holds the center of the street and starts scanning. The first thing Bruce solves is the shield. Vibranium doesn't just resist a hit. It soaks up the energy of the impact and stores it. What that means is simple. Every punch Batman throws at that disc, every batarang, every explosive, does nothing but charge it. Blunt force is off the table. He'd just be loading Cap's next throw. So, Batman goes sideways. He pulls 2 sonic emitters from his belt and detonates them at once. The point isn't to hurt Rogers. It's to overload the one system the super soldier serum never armored. The nervous system. The serum gave Steve Rogers peak human conditioning, not a different kind of body. His ears, his balance, his eyesight are all still ordinary biology. And the right frequency scrambles all 3. Cap pushes through it because, of course he does. He releases the shield at a shallow angle, bounces it off a collapsed steel beam, and curls it around the left side of Batman's cowl. The exact spot the armor doesn't fully cover. The energy the shield stored from Batman's own attacks releases on impact. 2 ribs crack. Bruce stays on his feet, but now every breath costs him. Batman switches to a magnetic grapple, pulls the shield clean out of the air, and drives a nerve strike into the cluster of nerves at Roger's shoulder. The arm goes dead from the shoulder down. Cap can't lift it. He's disarmed. Batman reaches for an EMP charge to fry the control chip at the base of Roger's neck. And that's where this round ends. Tier of survival, Captain America gets a C. His conditioning is extraordinary, but without the shield and with one arm down, the body is still just a body. Batman gets a B. He adapted inside the fight, found the chip, and was 3 seconds from ending the whole thing clean. The ground erupts beneath him before he can plant the charge. A repulsor blast comes in from above, red and gold, and Batman is already moving. Round 2, the speed of sound versus the speed of force. Tony Stark's HUD carries the same synthetic structure running through all of them, and it's already locked Batman as a priority target. The Mark Armor's targeting system tracks and fires in single-digit milliseconds. That's genuinely fast for any machine. Against Barry Allen, it doesn't matter. Barry moves in microseconds, roughly 1,000 times faster than Tony's sensors can physically register. The suit never sees him coming. By the time the targeting array catches a blip at the edge of its feed, Flash has already phased up through the floor and started running friction passes along the armor's joints. He isn't punching, he's rubbing his hands across the servos fast enough to melt them with heat alone. 30 seconds of this, and the suit is a sealed metal box. Tony Stark is alive inside it and going nowhere. Tier of survival, Iron Man gets an F. The suit is the man, and the suit is gone. Thor hits the ground from above like a bomb. He doesn't try to track the Flash. Even mind-controlled, he's too smart for that. He drives Mjolnir into the street and pulls every loose electron in the air into one discharge in every direction at once. The whole area turns to plasma. There's no lane to run through, no angle that isn't burning at several thousand degrees. Barry can phase through the first instant of it, but sustained heat at that scale fries his link to the Speed Force, and his legs buckle. Tier of survival, the Flash gets an A. Phasing lets him survive a burst that would vaporize anything else on that street, but plasma that dense eventually overwhelms even him. He's on one knee, not dead, not moving. Thor raises Mjolnir. Round 3, divine physiology. Wonder Woman doesn't hesitate. She reads Thor's body before Mjolnir finishes its arc, plants herself between the hammer and the flash, and crosses her bracers at the exact moment of impact. The shockwave doesn't just knock things over. It folds the steel supports of the arena like paper, and the walls on either side of the street peel apart
Imagine
and
dating Wonder
fall.
Woman.
Diana doesn't move. She takes the full force through her bracers and channels it down through her stance into the ground. Mjolnir is forged from
She has the beauty of a
an
Greek
enchanted
woman
Asgardian metal denser than anything found on
the
Earth.
power
The
of
swing
gods.
behind it carries the pull of an entire storm. Diana holding that ground isn't stubbornness. It's divine physiology doing exactly what it was built for, but she sees
I would
the
have liked to see
problem
her
with
and
what
Batman
comes
in a
next.
relationship.
Hitting an
Especially since they
Asgardian
kept
does almost nothing. Thor
they
heals
kept trying to make
faster
them a
than
thing
most
in Justice
injuries can
League
stack
animated
up.
series.
Trade
I
hammer
wanted
blows
them
with
to
him, and
be a
she's
thing in
fighting
the
a
comics.
body that repairs itself faster than she can break it. So
And they
she
never
draws
did.
the
I
sword,
wanted to see
switches
that.
from blunt
Although
force
Catwoman
to a blade.
is
A cut
Batman's boo,
forces
I
the
know.
body to close a wound in sequence, and even fast healing has to follow that sequence. A blade gets damage in before healing catches up. The problem is Thor is not slow. He's been fighting for over 1,000 years, and his Asgardian frame means his speed is heavy. Mass moving fast, which is a different kind of problem to solve than speed alone. So Diana doesn't match his force. She lets it swing and nudges his wrists and elbows, turning his own momentum his balance. A big body committing everything to a swing has the most to lose when that swing hits nothing. She gets the lasso of truth around his left forearm mid-redirect, and this is where the fight turns strange. The lasso doesn't only compel honesty. Against a mind under outside control, it forces the real person up against the thing overriding them. You can see it in Thor's face for about 2 seconds. The synthetic glow flickers. Something underneath strains against the signal. Then he drives a point-blank bolt of lightning straight out of his own body into her chest. No summoning, no distance, no time to react. She hits the rubble 30 feet back. Armor smoking. Tier of survival? Thor and Wonder Woman both get an S. He wins the exchange. The point-blank discharge is the one thing she can't answer. But she fought a 1,000-year-old war god to a standstill on technique, took Mjolnir head-on without moving, and is the only fighter in this gauntlet who interrupted the mind control signal even for 2 seconds. That detail matters more than it looks right now. These two are peers, and the rating has to say so. The lasso is still around Thor's arm. He looks down at it, and the floor beneath him cracks open. Round 4, hard light versus gamma regeneration. A green hand the size of a car door comes up through the fracture first, then a shoulder, then the Hulk hauls himself out of whatever sublevel the shockwave dropped him into and locks onto Wonder Woman across the rubble. Hal Jordan gets between them before that look becomes movement. He doesn't try to cage him. Caging gamma physiology is a fool's errand, and Hal knows it. The Hulk's strength isn't a fixed number. It climbs with every pound of resistance it meets. So a containment sphere just becomes something for him to grow strong enough to break. A Green Lantern ring builds whatever the wearer can picture, limited only by willpower, and Hal Jordan is one of the best ever to carry one, so he plays it smart. First construct, a catapult arm to fling the Hulk clean out of the city. Second, a sealed dome to drop over him from above. Third, a flat, hard, light hand to pin him with no surface to push off. Every one of them is the right idea. None of them lands. Here's what most fights get wrong about the Hulk. The rage doesn't only crank his strength, it cranks his speed. The angrier he gets, the faster he moves.
He gets
and a
stronger.
ring construct isn't instant.
He gets stronger, faster,
Hal about
and
a
he can
quarter second of
regenerate
focus to
faster.
build each one. And the Hulk is faster at the end of every exchange than he was at the start. The catapult forms half a beat late and grabs nothing. The dome clips an empty patch of street. By the third construct, the Hulk has eaten the 40 between them, and Hal is building a wall of body too close to use it. The fist comes through before the wall finishes. The feedback rips back through the ring, and Hal's shoulder dislocates with a sound like a snapping branch. Tier of survival, Green Lantern gets a B. He made every correct read in this fight and lost anyway, because the Hulk doesn't just outpower his counters, he outpaces them. The Hulk gets an S, and it isn't close. Both fists go up. Hal can't lift his arm to rebuild the construct. Then the skyline behind the Hulk turns into a red and blue streak, moving at Mach 10. Round 5.
Oh, hold up.
Power his counters. He outpaces them. The
Yeah, Green
Hulk
Lantern was never
gets
a match for the
an
Hulk.
S,
That's-
and it
I'm
is
sorry.
close.
Even Hal
Both
Jordan,
fists
who's the
go
best
up.
of them.
Hal can't lift his arm to rebuild the construct. Then the skyline behind the Hulk turns into a red and blue streak, moving at Mach 10. Round 5. The solar battery. Superman
They ever did a
doesn't announce
Superman versus
himself.
Hulk
The
movie,
Hulk is
that would be a
mid-swing
guaranteed
when
$billion
something hits him from
if
the
they did
left
it
hard
correctly.
enough to skid him 40 feet
If
across
you actually
broken
had DC
asphalt. And when the
Studios
dust clears,
and Marvel Studios
Clark is
collaborate on
standing
that,
between
I
Hal
think
Jordan
eventually they
and the
will get
Hulk,
desperate enough
his
to make
feet
start doing
set. A
collab movies.
Kryptonian under a yellow sun works like a
It's the only thing
battery.
they got left.
His cells store sunlight and convert it into everything at once. Strength, speed, durability, heat vision. Clark tilts his face up for 2 seconds, pulling what light he can through the chemical gray, topping off every cell. Thor throws Mjolnir first. The hammer crosses the gap in under a second. Clark catches it left-handed, and the hammer lets him, because the same crisis that scrambled these minds has, for one moment, found him worthy. Lets the spin bleed out of it, and sets it down on the concrete like a coffee cup. Cap's shield comes off a ricochet aimed at the back of his skull. He plucks it out of the air without turning around. Then the Hulk arrives. Both fists land. Full gamma output square into Superman's sternum. The impact punches the air around him into a vacuum for a quarter of a second. Clark doesn't move. Kryptonian cells under a full solar charge harden against a hit instead of giving way. So the Force has nowhere to go but back into the Hulk's own knuckles. Clark grabs him by the collar and launches straight up, through the gray, through the clouds, into the upper edge of the atmosphere where the air thins to nothing. The Hulk's strength needs something to rage against. Up there, there's nothing. His heart rate falls. The green drains out of him, and somewhere in that thin, cold air, the Hulk becomes Bruce Banner again. Clark catches the unconscious Banner on the way down and is back on the ground in under 4 seconds. Wonder Woman's read from earlier is the key now. The real person is still in there under the override, which means the thing controlling them is hardware, not the mind. So Clark doesn't fight him. He drops his vision to microscopic range and moves through them one by one. Banner, Thor, Captain America, and Stark. Burning out the control chip at the base of each skull with a thread of heat so fine it doesn't break skin. Steve Rogers drops to one knee, chest heaving, and looks at his hands like he doesn't recognize them. Tier of survival. The Avengers get a B for the coordination they showed, even with no free will. Superman gets an S, and of course the only rating that fits.
Exactly.
Clark reaches
Superman
down and pulls Steve Rogers to his
Superman.
feet. Neither of
Even
them
if he's not
says
my
anything.
favorite,
The Avengers
still
look
Superman.
up at the dead
He
gray
always deserves
sky with the specific expression of people who just woke up.
That's why he's still in my top. He's not in my top 3,
then.
but he's still in my top 5.
Something above the cloud layer blots out what's left of the light, and every person in that rubble, gods, soldiers, billionaires, aliens, goes very still. Both teams turn to face the same direction. If you want to see what happens when the Justice League and the Avengers fight together against whatever just blocked out the sun, subscribe and watch part 2. That's where the real damage starts.
Those are my 5 favorites.
Fresh savings just dropped at Lidl. This week, stock up on sweet mandarins, grass-fed sirloin, and premium ahi to
Uh-oh, what happened? Did it crash? I think my YouTube crashed. Did it? Yeah, it did. Oh well. This way, worries for another day. This away into the rock.
Everything I got was from God and spiritual. So I was being bad. I wasn't ready for it. I literally was an alcoholic. It's
He
just
looks it.
like God's not gonna,
I'm not
you know
trying
what
to
I
be.
mean? He's not gonna give
I'm not trying to
me,
be
you
mean.
know.
He does.
It's
But
like,
he does look it. He looks like
you
he was
know,
an
it's like I
alcoholic.
don't want to
Because
call
alcohol,
anybody else out
you know,
that it had that of alcoholism because I pray
alcoholics
for people
act
that
and look
do, but
pretty much the same as junkies.
I would say
Very little
that
difference.
because my blessings came from a pure place,
Substance abuse
I
is
would
substance
say
abuse,
that
whether it's drugs or alcohol, and it
you have
affects
to
them
have the
similarly.
example of that in your personal life. It's like no one's going. If you notice, Eddie Murphy doesn't drink, he doesn't smoke. Some of these guys are. They don't. You would think that all of these big partiers. No, most of these guys are just great artists that live a clean lifestyle, and you would think, not all of them, but you would think, and I think that's same thing with me. Is like I wasn't. I don't think my lifestyle could have handled that type of fame. I probably would have been dead or some crazy drug addict or something, for sure.
I had no idea, man, that she had a hard time with alcohol.
No one knew it. Some people knew it, some comedians knew it, but no one in the public knew it.
How did you overcome that?
Jesus Christ.
I hear that.
You wanna hear what happened? My dad took me. I went and got prayer. My dad's a preacher, and I went and got prayer, and I just felt release, and I never wanted to drink again. It was kind of an exorcism. It's his prayer, but let's just say, yeah, Jesus. A lot of people don't like hearing that, but that's my friend, for real. I really don't care what anybody say, because everyone I was down and out, ain't nobody helped me. But Christ.
I sometimes get tired of Christians acting like they're victims. You're not victims. You don't get the mainstream.
If you have Snap or Medicaid, you may qualify for a free iPhone or Samsung, plus up to 10.
I remember you making a comment about how Denzel, he told you about Hollywood parties, right? And how to leave them early.
No, no. Denzel made a joke. The internet is ridiculous. Let me say, he said something walking out. he's like, leave till 30 minutes for the devil get there, and he just left the party. So I made a joke about it, and it kind of, went into the internet narrative world. But he always said that you got to leave 30 minutes for the devil get there. And I was like, don't get none on you. That was always his thing. It just stuck with me. Imagine you in a party and you hear Denzel, you see him leaving, and he's like, I gotta leave 30 minutes before the devil get there. Like, well, where the devil at? Is he coming? The devil coming here? Nobody told me.
Is that a thing though with Hollywood parties?
What is a Hollywood party? These are just corporate. You guys realize Hollywood is a corporation. So when people say Hollywood parties, these are corporate parties. So it's like if your corporation has a party after
Hollywood is not a corporation.
For your show.
Yeah,
or
you definitely sound like your brain has been stunted by years of alcohol.
Now, what people do at their house,
I had a moderator. Shout out to him, who was alcoholic, and he definitely acted the part.
When people say Hollywood parties, these parties,
not throwing him
that
under the bus or anything, but the dude used to send me
sponsored by,
like we used to talk on Snapchat,
an alcohol
and
that paid in for whatever. It could be
like
a GQ, they're just corporate commercial parties. So Hollywood
he would leave me voice
so this spooky
voice text
Hollywood, like
they were like
that is
20 minutes long.
The least
and I'm not lying, because you can leave
and be like, oh,
you can leave long voice texts on Snapchat as opposed to like Instagram or other places where it's usually like
that's between
a limit of like 5 minutes.
Whatever.
He would send me like 20-minute, sometimes longer voice texts,
like
and multiple ones. I'm like, what I'm not listening to this. I told him, like, dude,
I've never seen any
I'm not gonna listen to a 20-minute voice text. You gotta make it concise.
At parties that singers and just regular house parties, you know what I mean? That's the after party that people just throw, that, you know what I mean? That I've never been invited to like that. Like, I never seen, like, yo, he put his finger in my ear. It's like, what party y'all at? What party is this? You know what I'm saying? What is this? I never seen, I've hung out with friends, and just like in college, and people like, yo, this girl's bad. Let's take her back to the house. That is college 101. When you have 25-year-old single man, there's a 25-year-old right now that's single, 23-year-old that's single, that's literally bringing girls back to the house and smoking weed. And now you can see it on streams. That's you know what it is? Streaming. Now that streaming is, that you see it live now. Perfect. Streaming is the thing that people will do. There's no cameras there. These stupid parties they're doing now on the streaming is just people arguing and stuff. It's the same. Throw a party, it's a house party. Now, is that a Hollywood party? So now it's a streaming party. Like, what you see what I'm saying? Like, is that a Hollywood party? Like, where the mystical parties is what you're seeing Adrian, Bronner, and Dean doing. There's nothing in Ray J. There's nothing mystical about a bunch of drunk people arguing with each other. I've never seen any of that ever. This mystic party that everyone. Maybe I wasn't tall enough. I don't know. I don't know what I was never invited to the put your penis in somebody's ear party. I don't know what party do that. I don't get it.
What? Bro.
I've seen people hook up with girls like I've seen people hook up with girls in college. Like I've seen it in high school. Like I've seen every other party. You guys realize that you can't brand. See, what the internet tries to do is brand this darkness like it's only exclusive to Hollywood. That's the thing I think is ridiculous, because there's no darkness exclusive to Hollywood. There's somebody right now freaking ordering a sex worker to come to their house. Right now, as we speak, Hollywood, and the blame is you. It ain't Hollywood, is your sexual demon. People want to blame Hollywood for their shit. No, it's you. You know what I'm saying? It's just really like, Hollywood made me suck a dick. No, you want to suck a dick. It's like ridiculous.
So yeah, I have to
It's
agree with him
ridiculous.
because people always try to say Hollywood will make you either dress like a
Like, it's
woman or suck a
ridiculous.
dick
It's
to
stupid.
make
Like,
it. He's
we
like,
coming
no,
to make movies and
no,
now
you
everybody,
want
man,
you
the big
decide to
nigga,
do
that
that.
got my ear got a dick in it. It's like, what? Where are you at? That's happening.
I
It's never
have to
happened
agree
to me.
with him on that because people making excuses for
It's
doing
like, it's ridiculous.
sus for doing some sus shit in Hollywood, and they use that
Congress
excuse.
struck another shady
I'm
backroom
gonna have to
deal.
agree
This
with him.
time, they want to
I don't
bring
think a
over
Hollywood producer
3,000
says
Chinese
either you suck this
driverless
dick or you'll
vehicles
never make
to
it in
America,
Hollywood.
all to benefit Waymo. China's
I don't think
driverless
that at
vehicles
all.
will map our neighborhoods, our
Also,
military
what's the
bases,
name?
and our
What's the
critical
chick?
infrastructure.
Uh, what's the little light skinned lesbian chick? Used to be on the Cosby Show and was on, the Disney Channel for a long time. What's her name? Raven Simone. She she herself said, "Man, look, most of Hollywood is gay." She said even the straight ones knew what time it was. So I don't think they force you to be gay. I think you come there already living that alternative lifestyle and just let your freak flag fly. I don't think yet. Now with some of the female actresses and models and stuff, yeah, I'm pretty sure they had to be uh, compromised in ways to make it because that's been the history of women looking to get in positions where they have to, you know, be supplicant to powerful men. So I do believe that, but straight, but no, I don't believe that Hollywood is buck breaking straight men and, and making them do stuff. No, I don't believe that. I'm gonna watch. Let me watch this thing about Nolan because people keep asking. My friend keeps mentioning Nolan Wells. Someone, one of my moderators, the other day last week asked me about Nolan Wells. I don't know anything about what happened there. So I'm a listen to it from the perspective of Dennis Sperling, a black lawyer, because um, he's read pills, so I trust him. I don't want to hear it from some pro-black. I'm not gonna mention any names, but I don't want to hear from any pro-black YouTuber because, yeah, I mean he's pro-black in his own way as well, but not in the way that's like Hotepish.
Hello there. Oh, I'm sorry. Who are you?
Once danger becomes attached to racial identity, it affects geography and economics. People decide where to live, which schools are good, which streets to avoid, where to shop, which restaurants deserve a visit, and where they feel comfortable after dark. They describe whose choices.
So I'm just me
as
watching
being
random stuff
about
as
they
I have been
describe
doing for the past 4 weeks.
those decisions about safety and culture and property values and school quality based on race. You see? So race can become solidly embedded inside of each of those terms. There was another study, a PNAS field experiment found that identically classified advertisements associated with disadvantaged neighborhoods received only 83.9% as many responses as advertisements associated with advantaged neighborhoods. That's a 16% penalty based on race. You see? The merchandise didn't change. The only thing that changed was the seller's neighborhood. You see? Same thing with housing research. This is people in the, it's black people, it's people of non-black descent who think every black person in America lives in the ghetto. Because that's what they associate with black people. I'm just saying. You got housing research that shows the financial scale of that stigma. After accounting for differences in housing quality in neighborhoods, Brookings estimated that comparable houses in majority black neighborhoods were worth 23% less. That's damn near 1/4 less, right, than white houses, based on these racial perceptions. This is what happens when you see stuff over and over again. You see? School selection can reproduce the same pattern. In one study, white parents rated a hypothetical majority white school most favorably, followed by an integrated school, and then a majority Latino, and then a majority black school. Dead last, even when the researchers supplied other information about the schools. And this is how racialized perceptions can influence enrollment, residential demand, property value, school funding, and eventually the social networks available to your children. Again, no single video about Nolan Wells is going to independently determine these national housing prices and school enrollment or restaurant revenue. Okay? The point is cumulative. Racial propaganda adds another layer to an already existing system of stereotypes about who's dangerous and which friendships are trustworthy and which communities should be avoided. Now, there's going to be a legal aftermath. Because let me tell you something, calling people murderers and conspirators and evidence destroyers, before people continue, look, before y'all continue accusing Nolan Wells' friends or companions of being racist and murderers and conspirators and participants in homicide and cover-up, I want y'all to remember this case. You guys know who Nicholas Sandman is? Nicholas Sandman in the Covington Catholic case?
Never heard of it.
I need a wish. Real.
I love you so much.
I'm tempted to watch Obsession, but I don't know.
You wished for this.
I'm not really a horror movie.
This
but,
is Arby's
no,
cheesesteak
that's
with
not true.
100%
I
Angus
do like
steak
some
and
horror
melty
movies. I
Cooper
like the
cheese. Some say it's meat and
classic
cheese done
80s slasher
right.
movies.
And some people don't say anything because frankly it's rude to talk
Or the
with your
old
mouth
Stephen
full.
King
Arby's, we
horrors
have the meat.
from the 80s.
Hotels.com
The
introduces Save Your Way. Choose how you
But as
save.
far
Take
as
instant
modern
savings now
horror
or Bankers
movies, or
Rewards for a future trip. Save
contemporary
Your Way.
horror
It's
movies,
exactly what it sounds
I
like.
prefer like
Unlike
overseas
headphones.
stuff, like
Save Your
from
Way.
Japan
Only at
and
Hotels.com.
Indonesia and stuff like that.
Hotels.com.
The
It's all
J
you
horrors
need.
and Indo horror movies are pretty cool.
And on January 2019, Sandman was a 16-year-old high school student visiting Washington, D.C. Y'all remember that? He was with his classmates for what was called a March for Life. And there was a short video that showed him wearing a MAGA hat and standing face to face with Nathan Phillips. Y'all remember that case? Well, Nathan Phillips is a Native American activist who was attending the Indigenous Peoples March. And within hours, Sandman and his classmates were branded across television and social media
I remember
as
this.
a racist white mob that had surrounded and mocked that and harassed the Native American elders. And the country rushed to judgment. Somebody typed rush to judgment. Somebody typed lawsuit. They rushed to judgment.
I remember that.
Before reviewing the complete video footage.
Yep.
Okay, because there was longer recordings later showed that members of the Black Hebrew Israelites had been shouting insults at the students before Phillips approached in the group while beating their drum. And a private investigation
Hebrew Israelites are a cult.
Diocese reviewed the video and evidence and interviewed the students and the chaperones.
Patently ridiculous.
Okay, evidence.
And
the investigators
the
found no evidence that the students shouted racist statements at Phillips, and no evidence supporting the widely repeated claim that they said build that wall. And guess what happened? Number one, Salmon and his family were subject to national condemnation. They got death threats, they got ridicules, they got permanent damage to his name. And the people spreading the story weren't merely saying they disliked his expression of political hat. They were asserting a racial narrative as fact before the evidence had been thoroughly examined. And by the time the corrections and longer footage emerged, millions of people had already labeled that boy a racist. Okay? And that's how viral misinformation works. The accusation races across the country while the correction limps behind it after the reputational destruction is complete. Now, guess what happened? Salmon responded. He filed an enormous defamation lawsuit. He sued the Washington Post for $250 million. He sued CNN for $275 million.
Damn.
And he went out, he sued NBC and some other major companies.
Oh, he got
But
broken
let me
off.
tell you what happened. CNN and the Washington Post and NBC settled the case.
Yeah, they did.
Confidential settlements.
They broke him off.
Now, they didn't admit they did anything wrong, but they settled those cases. You understand what I'm saying? Somebody got sued. And so the lesson, somebody typed the lesson. The lesson is that racially explosive stories, you know, promoted before the evidence is fully examined against teenagers, right? Calling them nationally or branding them racist, right?
Oh yeah, so he was also a minor. Oh yeah, that was
media organizations to the settlement table.
They got cooked for
and they had to pay. And see, that's the warning in this Nolan Wells case. Asking why Nolan was left behind, that's legitimate. Questioning the timeline, that's legitimate. But publicly declaring that these young men who are identical murdered Nolan and dumped his body and destroyed evidence and coordinated lies or received protection from law enforcement is something entirely different. Those are very specific factual allegations, and that's very serious criminal conduct that we're talking about. Okay? So somebody say, be mindful. Be mindful. Be mindful. Now, that being the case, we still talk about Mississippi. Somebody type Mississippi in the chat room. We are still talking about Mississippi. And Black people aren't overreacting merely because the possibility of race enters the conversation. Mississippi has earned a level of historical suspicion that can't be dismissed as paranoia simply because other people are uncomfortable discussing it. Okay? In many Black people's collective minds, Mississippi is the devil's playground. Okay?
Yeah, most Black people have been taught that Mississippi
wasn't merely another southern state.
It's this horrible place
that happened to participate in slavery and segregation. Mississippi became one of the central laboratories of the American white supremacy racist system. Shout out to Lobito. And after slavery ended, after slavery was over, Mississippi was first in line to help develop the legal machinery that used throughout the South to strip newly freed Black citizens away from their political power. Look, in 1890, the Constitution of Mississippi used poll tax, literary tests, registration barriers, and carefully selected criminal disenfranchisement provision to suppress Black folk from voting. Right? It did it right in their face, pretending like they were in compliance with the 15th Amendment. Mississippi became the first former Confederate state to build this systematic model of disenfranchisement, and the rest of them followed the example of Mississippi. You know, in 1964, when some of y'all was alive, right now, some of y'all was alive, only 6.7% of the people, Black people eligible to vote in Mississippi in 1964. Did you know that? Only 6.7% of Black people, as many Black people as Mississippi. Only 6.7 of them, 6.7% were eligible to vote. That wasn't an accident or the neutral result of apathy. It was the product of law, intimidation, economic retaliation, violence, and government policy. Mississippi's racial order was enforced not only through statutes and elections, but through terror. You understand me? Black people could be beaten, kidnapped, tortured, shot, mutilated, or killed for attempting to vote, organizing workers, challenging segregation, speaking disrespectfully to a white man or white woman. Hell, even being accused of a white woman, refusing to remain in the place white society assigned them to get you hurt.
Let's throw a penalty flag on the hospital monopolies and their abusive price increases. 4 times the rate of inflation. That's 15 yards for price gouging. 500%.
Oh no, did it crash again? I promise you I'm not Haitian. I just know French. I don't. Besides that, I know only standard French. I don't speak Haitian Creole. So if you hear me speaking French, I'm speaking standard French I learned in school. 5 years of school, middle school and high school. I I am not Haitian. And I am not West African.
Disney Plus, Hulu, and HBO Max.
I don't know. I didn't know one of Mark Hamill's kids was in Last Jedi. His daughter, and she has her own action figure. That's good stuff. Even though it was the Last Jedi. Eh, what are you gonna do? That's good stuff though. Um, all right, let's watch some more cool stuff. Excuse me, guys. Like people doing all these spoiler reviews the day after the movie come out. Yeah, people on um, YouTube film critics, y'all need to knock that shit out. With all due disrespect.
Black women often get
Most people say, all, with all due respect. No, with all due disrespect.
black women
Y'all need to
often
cut
get
that shit out.
Now, welcome.
Hey, Agatha, what's up?
President feta cheese. So
It's my
fresh.
Spider-Man Day. And it actually is Spider-Man Day. They, you know,
So
they formed in 2014, so it's not just because of the movie. It just so happens that the movie aligns with, Spider-Man Day. even though it came out on the July 31st, but a lot of people went to go see it on July 30th because you know how you can always
No
see this,
wonder
the
it's the
sneak
number
preview
one
the
feta
day
in
before
America.
it comes
If
out.
it's
So
excellent, it's
Thursday.
president.
So that's how I saw Endgame on the sneak preview.
Anything that's regular size, I like to see it mini. My name is Danny Cortez.
The biggest thing that has happened with the term feminism, it has become
I'm watching more Red
mean
Pill
so many
stuff.
things that it means nothing.
Welcome to another episode of Ask a Brother podcast. I'm your host, Jeff St. James, and we're going to have a whole host of different people from different backgrounds coming in because it really is about building a community of like-minded people that's just open to listening and hearing from other perspectives. The revolution is going to be because of us. You were in the crowd and you had asked him a question of who would win 100 feminists or accountability.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that was fun.
Oh, snap.
So my initial
Coming in
thing
hot.
is, and again, going through a lot of your stuff, ma'am, you are a master level troll. I must say, you get so much engagement just with what you're posting, especially when you're talking about, let's start with feminism. What are your thoughts about feminism and how it came about in your opinion?
It's a very large question. I'll give the brief
said.
answer. Many people believe that feminism started out really wholesome and good and fundamentally valiant.
No, it didn't.
And that it has slowly developed into something that doesn't resemble the nobility of early feminism. And now feminism has affected our entire culture. I mean, I hesitate to use this word because of all the political baggage that's attached to it, but it is systemic. Okay. Feminism is so deeply steeped in our culture that you really can't be a woman today and not be somehow affected by it in one way or another. Feminism, oh, sorry.
Now, to clarify, and I want you to continue this. I've made the argument based on that I felt like in westernized civilizations, all women are feminists. Some are just nicer than others.
So what
you think?
On an intellectual level, I think there might be some truth to that because many people understand feminism to be the idea that women are seeking freedom and liberation because that's what most people have been told. So if your understanding of feminism is just like, oh, women freedom fighting, then in many ways, a lot of women are, you could say, softly feminist.
Yeah.
Now, I would push back on that. I'm writing a book, as you kind of mentioned earlier, about this exact topic. I actually have a mock of the book right here with me. Would you like to see?
Oh, yeah. Oh, y'all, first time I'll ask a brother. Let me see.
So this, you mentioned I'm a professional troll.
Uh-huh.
I have to say, I hope this book cover keeps up with that. Here is the.
Oh. Yeah. Oh,
nice.
Tradition is the ultimate. Oh,
yes.
Man.
Very excited.
That is hilariously well done, ma'am. That's exactly what I was like. So, yeah, so sorry, back to the origins. You were mentioning how everybody typically was told and conditioned to think it was always started with the best of intentions, just advocating for women's rights and the
Ask a Brother podcast with Jeff St. James is what I'm watching.
Tools from Harbor Freight are doing hard work in real garages across America. Like at Nico's Automotive Shop in Des Plaines, Illinois, where his Daytona Jack does all the heavy lifting. His Hercules Impact Wrench.
Big government politicians and bureaucrats gave data middlemen access to your financial information without requiring
the only reason I'm
them to
not
keep
watching
it safe.
going to see Spider-Man.
Shows they're wrong. Nearly
The only reason I'm
75% of voters are
live streaming is
concerned
because I didn't go see
financial
Spider-Man.
information
And the only reason I didn't see
accessed
Spider-Man is because I'm assuming that my
86%
cousin
of
is going to go
voters
see it
say
with
data
me
middlemen must meet
in
bank
downtown
security
Baltimore. He asked me.
Mr. President,
He told me he's going to go see it in downtown Baltimore, but he hasn't responded to me yet. So I don't even know if he already saw it yesterday.
What did you find?
Or he's going to see it this weekend.
My favorite topic ever.
But
we talk about this obviously extensively
by
in the book,
next week.
But feminism has actually become this thing,
by
this
next
idea
week,
that has,
if he and I
can
have not
track
seen it, then I'm
6
going to go
different
see it.
types of people
I'm not a
that
person who
subscribe
has
it,
to see something
and
on the
all of those
first
different
day,
types of people
nor the
today
first weekend
fundamentally
of its
disagree
release.
on what a woman is,
I've never been that
how a
pressed.
woman should
The only reason I
operate,
saw
how she
Endgame
should
on the
engage
sneak
with the
preview
world,
day
and what her
is
responsibility should be, yet
because
they all claim the
my
term
friend couldn't go, and
feminist.
so he sold me
The
his
biggest
ticket.
thing that has happened with the
Otherwise,
term feminism, it
that was
has become to mean so many things that it means
time I went to
nothing.
go see a
You
movie
can
on the
have
sneak
someone
preview.
who
But I am definitely
believes
going to go
in,
see it within the
let's
next
just
few
make
weeks.
a list,
But I'm
trans
not going to be
rights
like I did
and
with No Way
abortion
Home
and
and Deadpool and Wolverine when I went to see it
CRT
at
and
the
Marxist
very
framing
end
of
of
the
its
world
trail
who can claim
of
to
its
be a
theatrical
feminist.
release.
And then you can
Like
also
I didn't go
have
see
your very
Deadpool and
average
Wolverine
woman
until
who
September,
says,
even though
oh
it came
yeah,
out in
like,
July.
I just
But
don't
luckily it
want
stayed in the theaters that
men to
long to
be
go
able to
see
get
it in
away with
September.
sexual abuse. And
No
she
Way
can also
Home
claim
came out.
feminism.
Spider-Man No Way
the
Home
biggest problem
came
with
out.
it, you know, in The Incredibles,
I
when
think
the character Dash goes,
November
if everyone's super, then
2021.
no one is.
But I
And
didn't see it
it's the
until
same logic that applies
January.
here. If feminism
Although I
just
did go,
means whatever
I
you
did
want
watch
it
a
to
bootleg of it
conveniently mean at the time, then it doesn't really
on
mean
my
anything.
Fire TV.
Because feminism has
But I wanted to see it in the theaters because I had saw
very
the previous
limited
two in the theaters, and so
ability
this
to
fourth one I'm
claim
gonna go see in the
certain
theaters as
goals
well.
and accomplishments, and it's just kind of this ambiguous blob-like movement that
But otherwise,
women
I wouldn't even
use
be
the word
here
and
right
term
now. I'd
feminism
be
whenever it
probably
is
just getting
convenient
back
for
from the
them.
movies.
When you have a movement that just kind of exists
So I
to
saw
be
it
used
early.
at the convenience of the person who's trying to
'Cause I'm
employ
not
it,
trying
that is
to.
not a
I'm going to
movement
go
that
see
is
it in
built
the
on timeless
afternoon
truth. Feminism
during
is
the
also
matinee
inherently
hours. I'm
revolutionary,
not going
and
to
what
see
I
it in the
mean by
evening because I
that
don't
is
want to be out that late
it's based off of a
with the
Marxist
Negroids.
framing. Okay,
I'm not
and so
trying to
with
be out there with
Marxist
the
framing, of
Negroids.
course, it's a financial
And it's
principle
hot.
that has been applied to culture with a lot
And I
of
like to go to
different
bed
cultural
early, so
institutions, and you
not going to
have
see
the
those
oppressor
evening
class and the
movies like I
oppressed.
used to.
And obviously, in the context of feminism,
So also, if
men
my
are the
cousin wants to go
oppressors and
see
men are
it
the oppressed.
late at
And
night,
it
I'm
is the
not going to do it
onus
because
of the oppressed class
then
to
I had to go
overthrow the
downtown
oppressor
first of
class.
all
So
to go
this
see
is
it.
a
And
lot
then
of
unless I'm
the
spending the
different
night at
types of
his house, I'm
feminism
not
start
trying to
arising because what
have
they're
to
supposed to do with
commute back
women,
here.
because of this revolutionary nature of the movement and what it
So you're in
requires,
Fort Lauderdale.
that's where it starts getting really complicated. It's because, well, now all these
Sograb,
different
the
types of
Sograb
ladies who
Mall.
claim that they're feminists disagree on what women
Cool.
are supposed to
I
do.
don't know what that
Are they
is.
supposed to seek freedom?
So
Are
I'm
they
planning to
supposed
go
to
see
seek
it too.
equality?
Okay, good.
Is this just an
Yeah,
old
this-
antiquated movement that we
again-
don't quote unquote need anymore? Or are we supposed to overthrow men as we know it? Are we supposed to fight quote unquote the patriarchy?
It looks
whatever
good.
that is?
It
And
might be better than No Way
not
Home, and No
define
Way
what
Home was like the
patriarchy
best one of
means.
the three so
And,
far.
you know, what
This
are we
one might be
supposed to
better
do?
than No Way
And
Home.
so a movement that is
It's
just
like, how do you
based on
top a movie
revolution
where
for
you
the
have
sake of
all three
revolution is not going to
Spider-Man
go anywhere, and it's
from
going to
the
start eating
different
its own.
cinematic universes
Especially if it
in
can't
one
even claim
film?
to define the like to have
But it
a
looked like it
clear
might be
definition
better.
of the thing that it of the people or the thing
So
that
we
it wants
taking
to
my
help,
nephew
which
too. Well,
is
that's
a
cool.
woman. So
Well,
there's
my
just
nephew's
so
18
much-
now, so I don't
it's
know if
just
he
very
wants to
muddy.
go see it with
And
his
that's the
uncle. Plus,
problem.
he's
And I
never
get
around.
attacked for that all the time. You know,
he lives with his
people, and I
girlfriend.
have a speaking series
He's
about
not my
this that
little
I'm
nephew
continuing to
anymore. I
develop.
mean, he's
It's
still
called
my little
Busting
nephew. He's
Feminist
18, but
So most
you
people
know, he
will
lives with
come
his
at me and
girlfriend
say,
now.
well,
He
the
probably
only
go
reason
see
you
it with
can
his
speak
girl.
freely is
He
because
probably
of
don't want to see it with
feminism.
his uncle anymore.
The only,
Even
and
though
I'm
we
like,
went to
well,
go
have you
see
ever heard of the thing called the
Spider-Man
First Amendment? First of all,
into
thank
the
you.
into the
But they
not
say
into
the
the
only reason
Spider-Verse,
you're
the
able to be
first
educated is because of
Spider-Man
feminism.
and the
And I'm like, the
multiverse
church has been
movie.
educating women for
You
hundreds
know,
and
with
hundreds and
the Black
hundreds of years.
Spider-Man,
And they say the
Miles
only reason
Morales.
you've
We
been able
went
to
to go
work is
see that.
because of feminism. I'm sorry.
He and my niece.
Let's look
I
at
took
old
them to
paintings.
go
Women
see
have
it.
been working
That
since,
came out.
I mean,
what was that,
before
6 years
biblical
ago?
times.
Yeah.
Work just
Yeah.
looks different now
Something
because
like
of
that.
modern technology.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason you can wear pants is because of feminism. Well, I'm sorry.
Oh, the
women
wrench
who
came
rode
back. Remember
horses in the
when?
past wore pants? And that has nothing to do with feminism. The only reason you can vote is because
Remember
of
we were
feminism.
talking
This is
about
actually my
they
speaking topic in the past semester.
they took out the wrench and put like
that's
the
actually not
little
true. Suffrage and feminism are exceptionally different.
the other
But
thing
they
in
get
there.
conflated because feminists like
But
to
they
take
put the
credit
wrench
for the
back.
accomplishment of getting women the vote because they fine and well agree with
The
the
blue
idea that
shield.
women should be
Okay,
able to vote,
so no,
which
so
is
it
fine.
depends on where you're watching
But
this.
they
So if you're
like to
watching
take
this on
credit
your
for
on your
it
mobile,
when suffrage
it's
and
still the
feminism,
wrench.
yes, they
It's still
claim
the
to help
wrench.
the same
If you're
person,
watching
which
it
is a
on
woman,
your
they're
computer,
completely fundamentally different
it's the blue
movements. I mean,
shield.
by the definition, by the goal,
Okay, so
historically
they
speaking,
didn't change it out. It just
I
depends
can
on what
prove all that to you, and we have a big chapter
sort of
about that
device
actually
you're
in my
watching
book.
it on.
And so
On
I
your
find that feminism
on your
today
phone or on your
is
computer.
incredibly dishonest. because it
computer,
takes
you're
credit
gonna
for
see a blue
so
shield for
many of
moderators.
the
If you're watching
accomplishments
on
that
your phone,
Western
you're gonna
society
see the
has
wrench
given to
still
women
for
in
the
terms of
moderators.
technological
It didn't
advancement,
change.
society formation, things that the church has championed and already done, things that suffragettes actually championed. And feminism says, well, you wouldn't have all those things without me. And my response
Mine
is,
is,
why are
oh,
you
your
trying
nephew's 10
to
years old.
manipulate
Well, mine was 10 years
accomplishments that
old
have happened
8
for
years
and
ago.
to women, and sometimes because of women,
Which
that has
is
nothing to do
actually, I
with
think that's when we
feminism
went to go
itself.
see the original one. I think the
Most
original
people don't
one,
understand. I'll give you a
the
very
Miles
practical
Morales
example of
one,
this.
the animated one,
The first
came
couple
out
states that actually
8
gave
years
women
ago
the
in
ability to vote
2018.
was
I think that was 2018 when that
Colorado,
came out. And
Utah, and Idaho.
I took
And those were in
him
like
and his sister
18.
to go see
So
it.
the 19th Amendment passes in the year
We used to hang out
1920, of
sometimes. I
course,
took
giving
him
women
to
the
a
ability to vote.
Baltimore Orioles baseball
And
game. He
it was
loved
like
it.
18,
But I
oh,
didn't
forgive me,
know till later.
1860s
My
or
niece was disappointed. She
1880s,
wanted to go
where
too. I was
Idaho,
like, oh, I'm
Colorado,
sorry.
and
Like
Utah
next
actually
time, all
gave
three of
women
us
the
will go.
ability to vote.
Because it was, I was actually using
And,
my
if
father's
you look
tickets. He
into
has
it, you figure
season
out,
tickets
okay,
to
well,
the
why did they give
Orioles.
women the ability
So
to
he
vote?
just gave me
It
his
has
season
nothing to
tickets,
do
and
with
I
suffrage. It has nothing
took
to do
him.
with feminism. It
Then it
all
was
has
one
to do
time
with the
because
idea
we
that
went twice.
Western
Once it was all
expansion
three
was
of us,
necessary,
my father,
and people
myself,
who were settling these new
and my nephew. Then the other times
Midwestern
just
like
my nephew
states
and I.
needed a case to make to the women that, hey, if you come out here,
He's
we'll
on
give
my
you the
mobile.
ability to
Yep.
vote, but you just got to come settle this
You'll
land.
see on your
And I'll
mobile,
tell
you'll
you a
see the
funny story
wrench.
in
But
Utah.
if you're watching on the computer,
The
you'll
reason
see
why the
the
acting
blue
governor
shield.
at the time, because
He said he's
Utah
so
was
excited to go.
territory at
We'll
this
be
time,
treating him
the
for his
acting
birthday.
governor
Oh, that's a perfect
thought
birthday
that,
gift.
oh, well, since all
Also,
these men have so
kids
many
love
wives
Spider
because
Man.
they're Mormon and they're
Spider Man
polygamous,
is
if we just give all
Spider
these
Man is the
different
go
women
to
the ability
superhero
to
for
vote,
kids.
then
And
I'll get a lot more
Superman's.
votes because
People
I'll be seen as the
downplay
liberator, and then I'll be elected
kids love
governor.
Superman
And
too because
it
he's
worked.
Superman.
He
There's
was,
someone
he
you can
was,
look up to.
he unlocked
Spider Man
an
is someone you can
entirely
look up to,
different
but he's
voting base.
also
So the reason I
relatable.
bring those up is because
Superman has that problem
getting
with a
women
lot of
the
people that
ability
he's
to
not
vote has not been
relatable,
strictly
but he's
ideological.
also
In
aspirational.
fact, it's been large
And
part
so
not
where
ideological. It's been very
the difference
practical.
is Spider Man, both kids love Spider Man and
Yeah,
Superman.
exactly. And
The
so
difference is
if you
they
actually
love
look
Spider Man because he's
into
also
the history
relatable.
and the
He
influences
feels
that go
approachable.
into a lot of things that are running
Superman's
around the era
kind
of
of
the women's
approachable too, but
movements, you'll find
he's an
that it's far
aspirational hero.
less
He's not meant to be
ideological
relatable, but
and it's far
aspirational.
more practical.
You aspire to
And
be
feminism can't take credit
this godlike
for
being,
coming
whereas
up with
Marvel
these
heroes
practical reasons to give women
are
things like the ability to vote or getting them into the
men
workforce.
who become
But what I'm
godlike,
saying,
so they're more
you
relatable.
said, and you said the more, and again, I'm doing the same as you, not to the degree you're doing it. I'm currently working through Simone de Beauvoir's The Second Sex.
Anyway, I'm
for
missing
everybody that's
this
currently
entire video talking
And
over.
the section I'm going through right now in regards to the married woman, because I'm writing as well. It didn't shock me because I already knew
It's
so
funny
many
because she
different
looks like
quotes from
she looks like
the
someone
40s
you
and
would think is a
50s and
liberal
even
white
earlier.
woman. This woman, Lily
But
Kate,
it
and she's speaking
totally
against
explains why
feminism.
we are where we are.
Shout
When
out to
it comes
her.
to the mindset
Because
and
if
the
you looked at her, you would
attitude
just think,
of
oh
like
yeah,
dating,
she's another
relationships,
one of
even the
them.
concept of
She's
view
completely
of
not.
the value of
So you
marriage
should
and
not
stuff.
judge
And like you
books by
said,
their
most people say,
cover.
well, I don't like what it's turned into now. And
Sometimes,
I'm like,
for the most part,
yo, this stuff
you
has been
can
there
and
from the very
should,
beginning.
because
And
covers
again, most of
exist
the
for a reason.
people
Book covers exist for a
who are
reason, for that very
claiming to
purpose.
believe in this stuff
But
honestly haven't read
I
a
would say
text.
you shouldn't
Sure. Well, and why would
always
they? I grew up homeschooled Christian, conservative. My
see
house,
homeschool
like my
Christian
parents' house was made
conservative.
of books, and I still didn't learn this stuff. Also, can I put a caveat in here? Utah granted women the ability to vote as a territory in 1870, but then when they became a state, 1896, and then Colorado 1893, and Idaho 1896 as well. So I want to make sure I get those dates right, so I don't mislead anyone. But I'm gonna fact check out there.
Nah, you good.
Please look. I already read that. Sorry. Yeah, a kid's gonna be excited to go see this, especially if this is he's 10, so this might be his first Spider-Man movie. Well, because the last one came out in 2021. That was 5 years ago, so he literally would have been 5 years old. Although I do remember movies from when I was 5. Some of my favorite movies were when I was 5, like Return of the Jedi. I remember seeing Return of the Jedi in the movies at 5. I remember seeing E.T. in the last Unicorn when I was 4. Like that's my memories. I can remember that far back, even though I'm in my late 40s. I can remember being 4 years old and going to the movies and seeing the last Unicorn, going to see E.T. Going to see what was that Jim Henson movie? The not the last year. I was about to say last year. The the Dark Crystal. I remember these when I was 4 and 5 years old. especially Return of the Jedi. Like that was that was just that's still one of my favorite movies. Batman 1989 and Return of the Jedi are my two favorite movies, hands down. I remember going to see Superman 3 because 2 and 1 came out too early because, Superman came out 78. I was like 0 years old. And Superman 2 came out, I was like an infant. So when Superman 3 came out, that's when I think that came out in I think that came out in '83, and then Supergirl came out right afterwards. No, wait. Yeah, I think Superman 3 came out in '83, so I saw that, and then Superman 4 came out in '84, and then Supergirl came out in '84 as well. Both of them were hard. All three of those movies were objectively bad movies. The funny thing is, oh, Uh, the other thing is about that is everyone always says Superman 4 is the worst. And I only think people think Superman 4 is the worst just because they don't remember how bad Superman 3 was. I think it falls into that whole thing called the primacy effect and recency effect. With the recency, well, I don't even really know if you can call it the recency effect because you're talking about like 43 years, no, 42 years ago now. But that was the last Christopher Reeve Superman movie. And the only reason he did it, well, because Richard Donner didn't make that one, which is why it was so bad. But I think people think Superman 4 is the worst of the old Superman movies just because most of them either didn't see Superman 3 or they don't remember it. But for those, you know, but to remind people, that was when Richard Pryor was the bad guy. He was this genius bad guy in Superman 3, and it was a horrible movie. As a kid, it didn't matter, but yeah, it was objectively horrible, and I think it might have been worse than Superman 4. Because at least Superman 4, he actually had a bad guy to fight against, even if the Sun Man was a horrible super villain. At least he had a super villain to fight against. He was fighting against a version of himself created through the Richard Pryor's character. But yeah, anyway, it was bad.
Get up close with exclusive access to unique experiences worldwide.
But that came out in '83. But my favorite movie of '83 and of all time is Return of the Jedi. And it's my favorite
Two
Star
of my
Wars
favorite
film.
sayings or quotes in all of Star Wars just so happen to be from
And I said it
the
on
same
purpose to
movie,
segue
that
into
being
this
the
video.
first Star Wars movie, or A New Hope as it's often called today. And they are sort of the exact opposite of each other, but go together quite nicely, in my opinion. With the first one being Obi-Wan saying this to Han.
Who's the more foolish, the fool or the fool who follows it?
And the other being Leia saying this to Luke.
He's got to follow his own path. No one can choose it for him.
And in the context of the movie, the first one is basically Obi-Wan saying, if my plan is so stupid, why are you going along with it? While the other was Leia trying to let Luke know that, well, Han was going to be Han. He was going to do whatever he thought was best for him. Furthermore, when you step back and just look at the quotes more at face value, they both actually touch on one of the core themes of the Star Wars, which is agency and choices. That we control or should control our lives, and that the decisions we make often have consequences, not always just for ourselves even, but sometimes far-reaching ones. But in this video, for this more fun, lighthearted discussion, really, this is going to be a bit of a silly video that I think has something important
I'll say
to
this:
say.
if the
But I want to focus more on the agency aspect. I want to ask, how often do we actually choose
Starfighter
our own
fails
path, and how
next
often
year,
are we the fool
that's the
following
next Star
another
Wars
fool
movie being
and we
released.
never even
If
realize
Starfighter
it?
fails
For example,
after
and
the
this may
flop of
sound like a dumb
Mandalorian
example,
and
but please
Grogu
do go
this
with
year,
me. But not all too long ago, it
I'm
somehow came up in conversation with a
pretty
friend
sure
of mine
Lucasfilm
that
is
I
going
was
to
going to be
consider doing
having
a whole
eggs
reset on the
for
sequel
dinner that
trilogy.
night, something I do quite often, actually. And he was rather baffled, if not a little upset, actually, that I would eat eggs of all things for dinner, since they are, in his mind, supposed to be a breakfast food. And I actually kind of laughed at him and told him how ridiculous that was if he stopped stopped and thought about it, that there is nothing about eggs that makes them only edible or taste better.
That's what I be telling my
in the
mom. She's
morning.
like, "That's
But I
breakfast
did go on
food.
to say that,
Why you
yeah, I could
breakfast
understand
food
why
for
he
dinner?"
felt that way because of how
Because I'll eat
associated they
pancakes or
are with
waffles for
breakfast.
dinner.
But that again,
That's
there's
like,
no
because
reason
you
to
get,
not
there's no
eat
such thing
them
as breakfast
for
food. You can eat
dinner or
anything for.
whatever you
You're
want,
going to eat
really.
up all your
Which
breakfast food.
eventually
I'm
he
like, then
did
I'll eat
kind
something
of
else
come
for
around on.
breakfast.
But what I said next would really blow his mind, and he wasn't going to come around on this
You can
one,
eat anything you
which
want for
was that
breakfast.
I
You can eat anything
rarely
you want for
ever
dinner.
eat
You can eat anything
breakfast.
you want for
In
lunch.
fact, my
That was
first
such
meal
a
of the day of usually 2
I don't know
meals, though
where she got.
sometimes
She
just
got that from
one,
my grandmother,
tends to be in the late
who has that
afternoon.
southern
Because for
mindset
one,
that
I'm never
there's certain
hungry in
foods
the morning,
that you
like
eat
at
for
all.
breakfast, certain
So I don't
foods
force
you eat for
myself
dinner.
to eat when I'm not hungry. For
But if
another,
that were the
I find
case,
that
then
if I eat
IHOP
early in
wouldn't
the day,
be
it makes me kind
what
of
it is
groggy
today.
or gives me
Nor
brain
with the
fog
Waffle
in the
House.
afternoon when I'm trying to sit here and
Like
work on a video.
IHOP and
And
Waffle
when I don't
House
eat in the morning, I
are
find
popular
I'm
because
much more
people like eating
clear-minded
that
and
stuff
energetic
all
and get
times of the
more done.
day.
But of course, he and others who hear I don't eat breakfast will often give me a
Yeah, but
lecture
there's no
on
such
it
thing as
and
breakfast
how
food.
it's
Eat
the
whatever
most
you want for
important meal of the
breakfast
day and I'm ruining my health or something.
and eat
And
whatever you
always
want for
when I
dinner.
ask, and I always do
Ditto
ask,
for lunch.
why is it
If
the
you want to
most
eat pancakes
important
for
meal
lunch,
of the
go
day?
right
Like,
ahead.
truly
If you
explain
want
it
to
to me
eat
because I want to know. I want to be
fried eggs
enlightened.
for,
I'll get something
you
about
know,
how it kickstarts your
if you want to
metabolism
eat
or
fried
something
eggs
like
for
that. And when I asked how it does that, to
dinner,
very
go right
simply
ahead.
explain it to me, since it's
Thank
something
you
they
for
seem to
this.
clearly have
Drop
absolute
that.
belief in, I'll get a blank look usually, because they have no idea how it does that, or even if it really does do that. It is just something that is known to them, and they have never ever questioned it. And they believe it so much that, like I said, people often get upset when I bring up this whole topic, or genuinely get concerned that I don't eat
Uncle
breakfast, like it's
Thank
killing
you,
me or
Agatha.
something. And that's when I'll oftentimes go on the offensive and fire back about how cereal companies like Kellogg's were the ones who, back in the day, back in the early 20th century, they really sold the idea and literally bought and sold it, paying doctors to back their
Thanks,
claim
Agatha. Appreciate
that
that.
breakfast was the most important meal of the day,
9 more to
and that
go.
starting it off with a bowl
I
full
got
of
9 more
grains
to go.
was the best way to do that. I'll even go on to tell them that there's
Speaking of like ridiculous breakfast foods, do you realize, like, do you remember? Well, that's right. You're young, Agatha, but yeah, Kellogg's cereal started off as this very Christian conservative thing to stop kids to keep to it's supposed to be morally good for kids to eat. It was such a weird thing, right? Um, and I know it probably went to an ad, but you'll see this when it comes back from the ads. But Kellogg's was so weird when it first came out, under the original creator, and then the brother of the Kellogg's guy, who was also named Kellogg, took over and started making the cereal fun for kids. But they were on some weirdly moral thing when it came out. So there's always been this sort of purity about breakfast food, which I don't get because I just don't care that much, especially when I'm not a breakfast person anyway. Like now that I get up early to work out, I see breakfast merely as fuel to get along, to replenish myself after after a grueling workout. But I don't necessarily feel like I gotta treat myself. I'll eat whatever. It doesn't, like, I don't care if it's oatmeal, fried chicken, or leftover pizza. I'll eat whatever for breakfast. You sent another? Did you send another one? Oh, thank you. Uh, Finger heart. Thanks. Yeah, I had set a goal because I realized on my computer I can do that still, even though I couldn't see it on my mobile live stream. When I'm looking at it from the desktop, it still allows me to set those. So that's pretty cool. The goals for like super chats or super gifts or whatever. But being that you and I are the only one in the chat room, I'm not going to reach the goal of 10, but that's fine. But if I did reach 10, I was going to show people a different martial arts technique. Remember, like I did several months ago, like probably like seven. That's probably like 7 months ago that I did that.
Concerned that I don't eat breakfast, like it's killing me or something. And believe it so much that, like I said, people often get upset when I bring up this whole topic or genuinely get concerned that I don't eat breakfast, like it's killing
Yeah, I
me
don't
or
really.
something.
I will skip
And that's
breakfast
when I'll
myself.
oftentimes go on the offensive and fire
Like I said,
back
the only
at
time I
how
do eat
cereal
breakfast is
companies like
because
Kellogg's
no, it
were the
wasn't how
ones
much.
who,
I
back in
didn't
the
need a
day, back in
specific
the
amount. I
early
just wanted to
20th
hit 10
century,
super
they really sold
super
the
chats.
idea and literally
It
got
wasn't
so
like
much
a.
bang
It
for
wasn't a
their
set amount of money at
claim
all. I just wanted
that
to hit 10
breakfast was
super
the
chats.
most
That's all.
important meal of the day, and that starting it off with a
Because
bowl
it shows
full of
like it shows
grains
the
was
people are
the
like
best way
watching
to do
and
that.
and interacting.
I'll even go on to tell them that there's actually a lot of debate about the importance of breakfast or meal timing in general, and that what you should actually do, what you should probably do when it comes to eating and breakfast is listen to your body.
But
Or
yeah,
eat
I
when
don't care if
you're
it was one
actually
each.
hungry, not eat when
Although I
you
don't think
feel
you
like
can
it, or
set them
of
that
course
low
set
at
when
one
you're
cent. But
bored, or because you've heard
it's just 10
breakfast is
super
important,
chats.
so you
Like
gotta
whatever
get up
the
and eat right
actual
away. But instead
dollar
eat when you
amount is
actually
fine.
feel
I mean,
like you need to eat. What a concept. Which is basically what I do. I
yeah, I
follow
need
my
to
own
shave too.
path,
I
and I
forgot.
don't eat in the morning when I'm not
I
hungry,
planned on
or
shaving,
sometimes I can be hungry in the morning,
but I
sure, and
never
I'll
went
eat a
out.
little
That's why I
something.
didn't shave.
But I
But
generally don't do that because, again, I'm not hungry, and
I
it
probably
makes me
won't shave
feel
till
like crap in
Monday.
the afternoon.
It depends. If I
And
go out tomorrow,
With
then
new
I'm gonna
Huggies
shave.
little snugglers,
Typically, I
nothing
don't
can
shave on
interrupt the
Sundays.
snuggle.
So I finally went to allstate.com.
Also,
It was so easy
I
to
can
switch.
go like 2 days without shaving anyway. So
My
once you
previous
see a
car
5
insurance
o'clock
was
shadow on
hiking
me,
up
it's
our
been
rates,
four
and that's what
days.
brought me to Allstate. They gave me a quote in a few minutes, and I saved hundreds.
Like I'll feel fuzz on the
And this is only one,
on the
again,
third day.
seemingly silly, but maybe not so much when you
Meaning I
really
need
think
to
about
shave,
it.
but it
But
doesn't
it's
get
one
like this
example of
until the
something
fourth
many
day.
people just do. They eat
Thank you.
breakfast without
Jesus, still
ever
handsome.
once in their entire life questioning it. Eating it is so ingrained in the brains of some people that they, again,
Then
they
you
get
remember how
very
people come
upset and defensive when
onto
they
the
hear
chat
someone
and think I'm
question it.
bald because when I
This
have
is
my hair,
just
because I need
something
to
that
cut
has
my hair.
always been
But
told
when
to
my
them,
hair
so
is
they
cut
accept
lower,
it
they
as
think
some sort
I'm
of
bald.
universal
No,
truth and
I'm
not
not
something
bald.
that
I
is
just
ever
keep it
meant to
cut
be
short because
challenged.
it's easier
And it all
to
kind of reminds me
maintain, and
of
I like my
the
hair cut
five
short from
monkey
my army
experiment, which
days.
I think is just an urban legend sort of thing, not a real experiment. But either way, the story goes that five monkeys were put in a large cage, and at the top of the cage, up a ladder, there were some bananas. And every
Oh, but
time a
yeah,
monkey went for
when
the
you take your
bananas,
nephew
all
out,
the monkeys would be sprayed with cold water.
you should get
All
him
of
an
them,
action
not just
figure
the
too.
monkey trying to
And you don't
go
even have to
at
get
it.
him
Eventually,
and
then, no surprise,
you don't
the
even have to get
monkeys
him
would stop
like
going for the bananas.
a top notch
In time, one monkey
collectible
was taken
Spider-Man
out and
because
replaced by
most of
a
the
new
top
one.
notch
And of course,
toys
right
now
away,
are
this
actually geared
monkey
towards
saw the
adults, like in
bananas
my
and
age
tried to go up
range.
the ladder, but
But
the other
you
monkeys
can get him a
stopped him,
cheap one,
even
like
attacked him. And
at
eventually,
the
he
supermarket.
stopped
They
going for the
like
bananas
every
too.
supermarket has like a
The
little toy
monkeys
section.
kept
You can
getting
go right
replaced
into the
one
toy
by
section in
one
the
with new
supermarket and pick
monkeys
them up a
until
toy
none of the original
when
five
you go to the
monkeys
movies
remained. None were now in the
or the
cage that
dollar
had
store.
ever
You
been
might
sprayed
find
with
something as
cold
well.
water.
But
And
what
when
the
yet
dollar
another
store, the
monkey
supermarket,
was
you find
introduced,
like
those
little
five, who again, they didn't know the
bargain
repercussions for going up the
price
ladder
toys.
other than getting beaten up by their friends. They just knew you didn't do that. And they would stop and again even
Because like all the
attack the
top
new
notch
monkey
stuff now
going for the
goes
bananas
to
without
people my
ever
age,
knowing
and those
why they were doing
typically
that in
start
the
around
first place.
$20.
Which, again, even if not a real experiment, which I'm pretty sure it wasn't, is a fascinating example of how things can become a
This was for
norm without
kids
later
back in the day in
generations, if you
1994,
will,
but
ever knowing why
I
they
still
are
wanted
the
it back then,
norm.
but I was
Or
like
with
a
previous
teenager, so
generations
I
just
thought I was
teaching
too
or
cool to
passing
get
on
one.
things to their kids and
So
maybe not
once I
even
became,
realizing they're
once I got
doing
in my
it.
30s and didn't care
And it
about
makes you
stuff like
wonder
that
how many
anymore,
things we
I
do in
went
our daily
about
lives right now
being
that if we
an adult
actually
collector and
really
getting all the
stopped and
stuff
thought
that
about
I
them
wished I
would
had as a
make no
kid, or the
sense at
stuff
all,
that I
or
did
we
have
just
as a
do it
kid
because
and no
that's,
longer
again,
had
the norm,
because
or because it makes
they
someone
got
else money, which
tossed
is going back to
tossed when we
cereal,
went to
what it was
when we
really all
left
about. It
Chicago,
was, again,
and then
brands
some other
like
stuff got
Kellogg's
tossed
selling cereal and
from my
convincing
grandmother's
an
house in
ever
Baltimore because she
industrializing
just
busy
threw a lot of
world
people's
that there
stuff
was a
away
time
to
for
make room
making
in
a
her attic.
traditional breakfast breakfast anymore. That a bowl of
So
cereal
she
was
threw
not
away
only
valuable
better
stuff.
for
Like she
you,
threw away my
but it was the
grandfather's
perfect quick meal for that
jazz
busy,
albums.
on-the-go
And my
person
mother
with an
was pissed
important
because
day
those
ahead
were
of
worth a
them.
lot
And
of
now
money.
today, Americans spend roughly 12 to 18
Oh, he
billion
going,
dollars
yeah, you
each
take him to
year
Target,
on
yeah.
cereal.
See, that's
And
where I
don't
would go
even
to
get me
find
started
stuff
about
too,
how
is
putting
Target.
mascots,
The Target
small shrimps on
exclusives,
cereal boxes and putting little
Walmart
prizes
exclusives,
in
and
there
Target
was
exclusives.
done so that kids formed a
Don't be
lifelong
creeped out, but you're
attachment
gonna
to
see
the
people.
brands
You're gonna
and then would
to
eventually
tell you
feed
right,
them
guy.
to their
So
kids
don't be
as
creeped out. These
well,
guys aren't
and so on.
weirdos or anything like that.
And
But you
now
don't
we
see
even
men
live in a
my
world where
age
influencer is
in
a
the
real profession
section
or
of
career,
Target
where we come to believe
looking for
someone is cooler
Target
or better
exclusives.
or lives a more interesting life than us,
Like they
and
have
that if we just
Target
buy the
exclusives
products
for
they
things
pitch, we
like
can be just like
Transformers,
them.
Star
We can
Wars,
finally be
G.I.
happy
Joe
if we just have more
Classified,
stuff or the stuff they say we need to have.
stuff like that. So
But that is a whole other
those guys
topic
aren't
to
weird.
get
They're just
into.
collectors.
Anyway, I'm not telling you to stop eating breakfast if it truly works for you, or to stop eating cereal if you like to eat cereal. I'm simply telling you to, from time to time perhaps, to stop and ask yourself if you're really following your own path, or if you're following a fool and doing something just because you think it's the
I'm just
norm.
warning you because
Ask yourself, is this
women.
something I really want,
I'm
or
not
do
you,
know that
Avid.
makes
I
sense
know
for my
you're
life and
cool,
I enjoy,
but a lot of
or
women,
if you've been convinced it is, and that
often
behind the
black
curtain
women,
somewhere,
but not
someone
just
is
black
making a
women, but
whole lot of
often
money
women,
off of you following
modern
a
women,
fool.
or black women
Well, that's going to be
will
all
see
I
these
got for this
guys
time.
and
Why don't you
automatically
jump into
think
the
the worst
comments
of
below
them
and
because
tell me
guys
what you
can't.
think about these two quotes. Do you find yourself following
Guys aren't
or
allowed
blazing your own
to
path, or do
do
you think you're
things that they
blazing your own
find
path but you're
fun
actually
that
following? Whatever you think, though,
that
or
don't
whatever you want to
benefit
talk about,
women.
leave a comment below.
So
And let's
anything a
talk
guy
some Star
likes that
Wars.
doesn't benefit
And
women
until
is
next
hated
time,
on.
thanks for watching.
And I'm not saying
Let's
you,
get this done
but I'm
so
just
we
saying a
can
lot of
hang
women
out
think that way.
Agreed.
They
Can't
won't
any
put
more
it in
time.
those
My pets
terms,
never feel
but guys
about it.
recognize it as
Well,
such.
let's run to Target.
Like,
RTT and a sweet treat after.
some women are so mean spirited that literally they call everything guys do that don't benefit them as being gay. Like,
And Doug.
I'm glad we could all
and some of these women,
They say tennis is
I
good
mean,
for
I
a
think
member you can customize
we need
and
to
save
start
hundreds on
calling
car
them
insurance with Liberty Mutual.
femcells and
See you, big
losers because
Well,
a
I
lot of
say
these women say this stuff online are just losers.
Boom.
And you know, this is not something that's often applied to women, but we need to start calling some women losers when they say
Ball me
loser
again?
stuff like that. You have you have these women really saying a guy eating ice cream is gay. A guy that owns a cat is gay. If you eat bananas, it's gay. If uh if you regularly go to the gym, you're gay. um if you you know if you're an adult toy collector, you're gay, or you are a other thing. um you it, man, they if you're clean shaven, you're gay, or the other thing. Just so many, just so many things. Like they will say, literally, men literally cannot do anything today without being called sus in some respects. Because women don't like guys doing stuff that doesn't benefit them, and it's like we need to just start calling these women losers, these little femcells, because they've gotten so comfortable calling men incels for saying and for speaking their mind that we need to start calling them out on that piece. I just think people are so mean. I know. I mean, literally saying a guy is gay because he likes ice cream. Like, really? Like, if I so, like, damn. Like, yo. So if I go to get some cookies and cream, oh yeah, you like some cookies and cream, don't you? Like, what? Yeah, people. I just think social media has given every idiot a platform to air their views. See the difference with print media and social media. See, back in the day in print media, not every stupid thing a person uh, commented on made it in that newspaper or magazine comment section. Some it was up to the editor's discretion. And yes, stupid comments still made its way into into print media comment sections in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s, but it was heavily edited. Whereas in social media, a person can upload their most idiotic thoughts instantaneously. And it just shows a cesspool. And it's not because people are more toxic than they were in the past. It's just that with the with the with the veil of anonymity and the instantaneous replies someone can do to content that they find online, it just allows them to be as as retarded as they want to be. Unfortunately.
You need an excuse to let loose.
I haven't been to Hershey Park since I was a kid, and I don't remember anything because I was like, it's funny. Some things I can remember when I was little, some things I can't. Actually, I need to ask my mother if we actually, because I'm wondering if I have if I'm actually experiencing a false memory of Hershey Park and I'm actually thinking of another amusement park I went to as a kid. This I have this fragmented memory of going to Hershey Park, and the only reason I even remember it, faintly remember as being Hershey Park is because I remember the Hershey bar thing. Other than that, I have literally no memory of what we would have done, what rides or anything. And if that was the case, it was somewhere between the years of 4 and 6, which is why the memory is so fragmented. But I think I went to Hershey Park as a kid.
Let us.
Back streets back. All right. Mm, 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 mm. Oh my God, he's back again. Let me stop. Let me stop. I'm tripping. All right. The worst cities to date women in. I gotta watch this one. This is Ask a Brother. Check out Ask a Brother podcast. I think you'll actually like him. He's a clinical
Welcome to another
psychotherapist.
episode of Ask a Brother podcast. I'm your host, Jeff St. James, and we're going to.
And he doesn't bash on black women, by the way.
Of different people from different backgrounds coming in.
He's married to a
It's
black
about building
woman.
a community of like-minded people that's just open to listening and hearing.
And has a
from other
daughter.
perspectives. The revolution is going to be because of us.
But he literally told his wife if he didn't meet her, he would have been a passport bro. So he did say
worst cities to find women and why.
In no particular order.
No particular order.
I'm gonna say New York, bro.
Hell yeah.
New York is but see, you can't. And this is for people outside of New York City.
So I have a different criterion. So I latched onto what Kevin Samuels said. I think the worst place to meet women is Philly, Baltimore, and Detroit. But that's because I find those women extremely unattractive. So, but he's talking about as far as their mindset, which I would agree. And I've told my friend this. Shout out to Marcus. We might do a video pretty soon together. By the way, he was my first and original fan who told me to become a YouTuber, and I ignored him for like 3 years before I actually decided to do it back in 2022. But I've told him, he would have better dating opportunities if he dealt with women either overseas or outside of major metropolitan areas. I told him the DMV is one of the worst places to find a woman because the DMV being one of the wealthiest parts of the country, the women here tend to be quite entitled, and not to mention like many of them are these aspiring politicos and that's a different friend. You're talking about Quest. My other friend, he's never been on camera with me. Actually, no, that's not true. I actually did a video when I was in Jollibee here in Maryland. The first Jollibee to open up in Maryland in Wheaton, uh, 3 years ago. We did a video there. It was he, myself, and his friend, who he met when he as a Olympic powerlifter. She's a female Olympic lifter. Oh no, you're good. She said okay. Sorry, no. Um, but no, that the guy in the car is Quest. I almost did a video with him early this week, but it was too dark. It was getting late. It was like around 7 to 8ish, and it was already starting to get dark. So I was like, nah. Plus, I was tired, and I wanted to eat my Subway sandwich after we came from the gym and take a hot shower. No, lukewarm shower is hot as hell. Uh, but no, Mark is someone. The only time he's been on video with me was the video. You can check it out of us at Jollibee, and he loves Jollibee now. Um, but yeah, I told him don't date in major metropolitan areas on the East Coast or on the West Coast. I told him the best place to meet women are overseas, but if you're going to meet them here in America, meet them. I said the best women are either down south or in those far west flyover states, the states that people don't think of. They think of meeting women like Wyoming and Idaho and Montana and North Dakota, South Dakota. These those flyover states are usually where you're gonna meet more traditional women here in America, or in the deep South, because technically the DMV is in the South. So when I say the deep South, I'm talking about like uh, Florida, Mississippi, Alabama. I would avoid Georgia. Um, well, not all. I would avoid Georgia. I would avoid Atlanta. I would not advise trying to find women in the greater Atlanta area. Exactly, country girls, because country girls are more traditional. Like if, like I said, I'm a former passport bro. I just consider myself a global citizen now. I met my wife overseas, married her overseas, lived overseas, and I am eventually going back overseas as soon as I get my bread up. But if you're not going to date overseas, or you just don't have the either you don't have the interest in traveling or you don't have the financial wherewithal to travel, you can meet them here. But yes, country girls, like Agatha says, basically country girls are the way to go. Agatha, has there been someone else in the chat that I missed their comments, or am I just? Let me make sure. And it's gonna be my wife's birthday in 2 days. Not gonna reveal the gift because she might watch this, but yeah. Uh, it's funny because it's her birthday, and then like a week later, less than a week later, is our wedding anniversary. So they come like stacked. um, but anyway, so yeah, country girl, like if you are going to date an American woman, a country girl is the best way to go. Like I said, it's either somewhere from the deep south. And when I say the deep south, don't go to the big cities in the south, because if you go to a big city in the south, it's just as bad as meeting a chick from a big city on the east coast or on the west coast. Avoid big cities. So if you're going to date someone from the deep south, do not go to Houston, Atlanta, Miami, Dallas, New Orleans. When I say deep south, oh, I'll tell her. Thank you, Agatha. It won't be till Monday, but yeah, I would tell them don't deep south, but not the major cities. Same thing in those flyover states. Even in those flyover states, when you talk about because the funny thing is, most people think that the 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 division in America is between the north states and the southern states, and it's really not. As Bill Maher pointed out, it's really the difference between um, the countryside and the cities. Because he's like, even down south, the big cities are very blue, very liberal, whereas the countryside is more red, more conservative. And that's up north too. Like Agatha, you know this. You're in New York City. Like if you go to upstate New York, way up, like outside of places like from Albany, not in Albany itself, but that surrounding area, like that upstate New York is country as hell. Upstate New York is country as hell, or in Pennsylvania, like if you don't live in like Philly or Pittsburgh, or even Harrisburg, it is country as hell. Like if you don't live within the greater Philadelphia area, Harrisburg or Pittsburgh, it is Pennsylvania is country as hell. Like so much so that people often joke that Pennsylvania is the Alabama of the North, right? People often joke that Pennsylvania is the Alabama of the North because it is so redneckish. Now I mean redneck in the pejorative sense, but redneck as in just rural white South type folks. Because like I've talked, like I know conservative Christian men who call themselves rednecks as a point as a point of just as a label of distinction. They call themselves that. You said Middletown, Buffalo, yeah, yeah. Like I said, but I'm saying outside of those cities, like outside of the capital of New York, which is Albany, or nearby Buffalo. I'm saying outside of those cities, that's what I keep saying. Like, if you're not living in those cities, the majority of the state is rural. The majority of America is very rural. um, like a lot of people, from overseas see us as all being people from like New York and LA, but they don't realize most of America is rural. And a lot of people when the East and West Coast don't get that, that's why they're always disappointed with presidential with electoral politics, because they're expecting, well, things to go their way because of the big cities that do have a denser population. But rural America still makes up the bulk of the country. And that is the place where you should be trying to find a traditional woman for a guy, is in the rural America, not in the big cities. Like I said, even if you go down south, avoid the big cities. And if you live up north, again, you can go to the countryside and meet someone. Although, again, I would prefer to meet someone down south if I were to want to meet someone. Like Texas is a good place, but again, or Florida, those are two great places to meet traditional, women, but not in the big cities. Don't go to Dallas or Houston. Don't go to Miami or what's the other big city? But yeah, don't do that. Anyway, back to the videos. Hear what he says. He already said New York, which is, I definitely agree.
Cooling off
I mean,
feels
I like
great.
some Puerto Ricans as good as anyone else, but
with Liberty Mutual.
Sure does, Liberty. Liberty.
I don't know if when
Great coverage, great savings.
wifey had, because I can only deal with so much of that sass.
If you're
And
from New York, you kind of know how.
what about dating apps? I would say just avoid dating apps completely. Avoid dating apps. They're trash. Although I would say this for guys. For guys, I would say avoid dating apps too. But a lot of guys have gained, because I've done it. Like if you're actually a good looking guy with a dating app, um, I dating apps works best because okay, so here's the thing: a guy who's already very successful and or attractive doesn't need the dating apps to find women. If he is on there, he's gonna get the lion's share, literally. But also, and I shouldn't be spreading this, but for guys who want to cheat, dating apps are the perfect thing because the women on there, guys know not to take seriously as like real. Like it's perfect for a guy who just wants a situationship or the dating apps. Whereas the bulk of the guys who are on those apps are desperately trying to find women, and that's just a mistake. Don't do that. But for guys who are either very successful or they just want to cheat, the dating apps is what they should go for. But I would tell everyone to avoid the dating apps. They're complete fucking trash. They lost their utility 10 years ago. At best, well, because I met my wife on one 9 years ago. But yeah, around that mark between 12 to 9 years ago is when they were at their height. But now, no. And I definitely wouldn't use them overseas because women use that to scam men overseas. So don't use the dating apps overseas as well. Even though a lot of the passport bros do it, and then they end up with these women who either scam them. Shout out to the guys in Colombia that getting with the scopolamine queen, or they end up with a lady boy or whatever. Like dating apps are trash, whether internationally or locally. I would just avoid them altogether. Like that, I did it that way, but again, that was almost a decade ago now. I wouldn't advise anyone to try that now.
The women operate. New York City has some of the most beautiful women on the planet, bro. But you gotta tell them to talk first. Because a lot of them bitches sound like battle rappers.
Big men, bro.
So, let me break it down. So for all the guys that's not from New York City and you want to get a woman in New York City, now remember, people say New York City and they try to like put us in a bubble. And it's not like that, bro. You gotta know where you at. Staten Island, I have no clue how the women are. None of us know how the women are.
That's why they sound like battle rappers. You hear you hear him trash about your city, Agatha? He said all the women in New York. He said the women in New York City are beautiful, but they all. He said you got to talk to them first. He said because half of them sound like battle rappers. Oh snap! Oh snap! Oh man, that's funny. He came with the smoke early.
But Brooklyn, the women are tough, and they'll line your ass up.
Yeah.
Harlem got pretty girls.
Date a chick from
You'll
Brooklyn.
be fine with them.
Date a chick from Queens.
The Bronx, baddies, beautiful, but a lot of them is hoes. Bronx got the most hoes and the most STDs. So
he said the Bronx has the most hoes and the most STDs.
You have the STD, but you'll be with a pretty girl. Queens is where the best women are in New York City.
Queens, yes. I agree because Queens is the reason why Queens got the best is because I think Queens has the most cultural diversity of all the boroughs. Tell me if I'm wrong, Agatha, but I think Queens has the most like racial diversity of 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 the five boroughs. It's where again, shout out to Spider-Man. Spider-Man met MJ. That's funny. He said, "Yo," he said the Bronx. He said the Bronx got some baddies. He said, but they all got. He said, but they suppose. He said they suppose or they got STDs. What did he say? Yeah, a lot of scamming goes on those apps. Yeah. Not so much here locally, but overseas. There's a lot of there's a lot of scamming goes on the Tinder, the international Tinder, or on those Asian dating apps. A lot of scamming, a lot of bots. I tried one dating app and it even was like connecting me with bots instead of actual women. I'm like, what the fuck? I deleted that so quickly. And I don't mean bots where it was a bot pretending to be a person. No, these were AI profiles on the dating app. And it's like, yo, shit. Had I known that the dating app is connecting you with with AI accounts to have conversations with, I'd be like, oh hell no, I'm not that desperate. Like, save that. That's weird. Like, no, sorry. I have a big dick. I'm not cursing with a AI account. Yeah, and I said what I said.
From houses. They're not from the project. They from their family got a little bit of money. So you gotta base it off of that. Usually girls and
Sorry,
dudes are tough.
naughty contrarian.
So the women
Naughty
kind of
contrarian.
emulate that same energy. So a lot of them is tough too. So you got to be careful with them. They'll be pretty. It's gonna be a lot of suck my dicks. They're gonna tell you that. As a woman, she's gonna tell you that. She's gonna put her hands on you. But they sweet. They sweet, bro. You just gotta know who you're dealing with. So New York City is hard. So a lot of them, but you don't know what you're getting, bro. You gotta just leave the Bronx chicks alone, bro. So I say New York City is in there.
The only thing that would possibly even attract me to, I think, is better for guys dating Asian girls than female dating Asian men. Well, I mean, I would avoid the apps. The apps is a lot of scamming. Either way, going either way, I think is those apps are horrible. It's a lot of scamming because a lot of these people come from. Look, a lot of most of the East Asian countries are poor. Like the only first world nation in East Asia is Japan, and then Singapore is right there as well. I'll, and even within Singapore, there's a lot of a lot of poor Malaysian and Indonesian people living in Singapore because I think Singapore is it's like a city state. It's a small nation the size of the city, right? But it's situated within Malaysia. Sort of like Washington D.C. was carved out of Maryland. Um, Singapore was carved out of Malaysia. So there's a lot of poor Malaysian folks living there. But even still, again, outside of talking about Singapore and Japan, like most of East Asia is, you know, Taiwan. Taiwan is a really nice place. Taiwan is China if it wasn't communist. Shout out to China though. But yeah, Taiwan is literally China without the communism. So it it is a successful country. But when I'm saying first world nation, I mean first world in the original geopolitical sense of the word, because people use those terms incorrectly, and I do it sometimes as well. But the original uh, cleaving of first world, second world, and third world, because some people forget they're second world nations as well, and third world. Most people just use third world as a synonym for a poor underdeveloped country, and that's not what it originally meant. And this is why it's not used in as a term in geography in political geography anymore, because in terms of geopolitics, what first world nation meant was all the countries out countries associated with the allies, you know, in the aftermath of World War II, like the countries aligned with the allies were first world nations. the countries aligned with the Soviet bloc or the Soviet Union were second world nations, and everything and all the other countries not affiliated with either were third world nations. And it just so happened that a lot of those countries they weren't affiliated either with the first world allies or the second world Soviets, just happened to be underdeveloped poor countries. So then from that it moved into just associating poor countries with third world nations. And but that's not literally what it means. But when I say first world nation, I'm I'm sort of talking about like the political alignment of countries in the aftermath of like the Cold War after World War II. So like I said, basically, the U.S., Canada, Western Europe cleaved off, in Berlin between West Berlin and East Berlin, Japan, Australia, New Zealand. Like that's the first world, right? Then the second world was everyone behind the Berlin Wall, like Eastern Europe, uh, Eastern Europe, parts of Central Asia, some of those common Latin America countries. Those were second world nations, and then anything that didn't fall but within those two categories was third world. So, which left which left most of Africa, um, East Asia, South Asia, Pacific Islands, and most of Latin America. So, yeah. Anyway, like I said, a lot. So, I guess so to be more clear, a lot of East Asian countries are underdeveloped. Even South Korea. South Korea is where look. No, the Philippines is actually coming up economically. The reason it's been so slow of economic growth for them has been, they've been mired in a lot of political corruption for a long time. You had poverty, political corruption. Remember they had a 20-year a 20-year dictatorship under the first president Duterte. The current Duterte is the son of the former dictator who's now running the country. And he ran a 20-year dictatorship of the country, which for a lot of people uh, bankrupt the country. I mean, he literally did bankrupt the country because he's literally in the Guinness World Book of Records for stealing the most amount of money from a nation, literally billions of dollars, billions with a B. So he fiscally bankrupted the country and he set it back, um, socioeconomically as well. Uh, but where the Philippines has been within the past 20 years is what South Korea was in the 80s, right? Um, South Korea is successful now too. Like South Korea, Taiwan, these are nice places. Um, Hong Kong before it was reunified with China, which it wasn't supposed to do, but China doesn't keep its promises, even though according to the regional treaty they had with the UK, they weren't supposed to reunify Hong Kong with mainland China until uh, for like 50 years when they got it back in 1997. But under the new law back in 2019, they made that all the laws of mainland China are applicable and in in Hong Kong. But anyway, uh, but Hong Kong's still a nicer place to go to us uh, than than mainland China. And then you'll have people point out, well, yeah, but Shenzhen is nice and Shanghai are nice. Yeah, but those are two cities of an entire country that is a shithole. I'm just gonna be honest. Like it, if you know, because people don't get that. The people who try to cape for China, like the YouTuber Flight Madness often used to cape for China, saying, "Well, yeah, but where I live is nice." I'm like, "Yeah, but that's where you chose to live. You're a foreigner. Like you don't." He is like, "Yeah, but the other parts of the country don't apply to me because I'm not living there. Why would I as a foreigner?" I'm like, "You're defeating your own point." I was like, if New York and LA were the only two good parts of the United States, and then the rest of the country was a shithole, some people might actually think that. But anyway, if New York and LA were the only nice parts of the United States, and then the rest of the country was just a shithole, which to a lot of liberals, that's what they actually think. But anyway, then it would be disingenuous to say that the country is great just because you happen to live in you happen to be fortunate enough to live in one of those two cities, whereas the majority of the 340 million people living in the country live outside of those two cities. So yeah, unfortunately, China is struggling, and I love the country. I love the people of that country, and I do plan on visiting mainland China. So I'm not trying to bash it here, and YouTube doesn't take to that either, to people bashing China. So I will not. Um, but it has its problems, and I wouldn't trust people on those Asian dating sites coming from China either, as well as Southeast, because most people just think it's just from Southeast Asia, and some Northeast Asians derisively call people from Southeast Asia jungle Asians. They call people from Northeast Asian countries like South Korea, Japan, China, Taiwan, fancy Asians, and they call people from Southeast Asian jungle Asians, which started off as a joke amongst some Asian comedians, and then it became a cultural phenomenon. Don't do that, but it's not just Southeast Asia. You can get scammed on these dating sites. You'll still get scammed by people coming from China, South Korea, and so forth. So not so much Japan because they're not really on those Asian dating sites because they'll have their own little local stuff that they use to for social media apps. Line is a big app used in Japan, just like Kakao Talk is a big one in South Korea. But I wouldn't worry so much about getting like scammed in Japan unless the person isn't actually from Japan, because you got a lot of, unfortunately, like Filipinos. They come onto these Asian dating sites pretending to be from other countries to get a better chance at trying to hook up with a foreigner. Um, so that's another thing. Like no matter what country you're looking for women, you're gonna find Filipinos on those Asian dating sites, no matter what country it says. Some who actually are living in those countries, though. Some of them actually do live in those countries because I've joked that Filipinos are the Jewish people of East Asia. They have a wide diaspora all over the globe. Basically, because there's better economic opportunities outside their country, unfortunately, unless you're a wealthy Filipino. Anyway, back to the videos. Oh yeah, and like I said, I've been to Taiwan. At least I've been to Taipei. Taipei was great, and Taiwan, like I said, is a great country. It's like China without the communism, and that's I'm not trying to diss China, but China would be better without the communism. Just it would be. What time is it? 7:41. Oh shit! It's already been 2 hours. I didn't even realize I've been on this long. Pause. But after this video, I'm a call it quits. I didn't know I was on this long. Please don't crash. Don't crash again. It's probably gonna crash.
Yeah.
I'll dig.
Atlanta.
Totally agree. I'm gonna the AIDS and you don't know if it's gonna be a man or a woman. Yep, he's absolutely right. Of course, this also you gotta get the caveat. He's referring to meeting black women for black men. A lot of these problems are, and I hate to say this, but a lot of these problems aren't really problems if you're dating, non-black women in these cities. So I think he should have been more specific saying, but whatever.
So I say New York City is in there. Atlanta. Because you don't know if you're getting a man or a woman sometimes. Might wind up with a dude.
Yeah.
I will say this though. The black women in Atlanta, they always got their stuff together. Always. Like you see a girl driving a Benz in Atlanta, that's hers. It's not her man. She got money. But also, that might be a dude too. Atlanta is hard. Where else I'm gonna say? Atlanta, New York City, Miami, bro. Get a 5 and below, bro. Atlanta.
He's talking about Miami 5 and below, not a 5 and below in your.
If she lives in Miami, if she lives there, first of all, ask her where she live at. If she live in Hollywood or Hialeah, one of the like residential places, but if she lives in Miami, like Brickell or Erica, bro,
downtown,
probably a porn star.
He said 5 or below.
Leave her alone, bro. That's a slut. Leave her alone, bro.
See?
How fine she is. You're gonna be storm broke. Same thing with Miami is don't trust it, and Vegas. Who lives in Vegas, bro?
Escort.
You live there? Vegas is escort city.
Yep.
Yes.
Pretty girls in Vegas. If they're not working, if they don't actually work at one of the hotels, like work at the casinos as a server or something like that, and she just say she's living in Vegas, she's selling by.
Man.
One more.
Okay.
LA.
Be careful on Vegas. So Vegas, New York City, Miami, and Atlanta.
LA.
And
LA.
What's another one? You gotta be careful.
LA, bro.
You gotta really watch yourself. LA. LA women, bro. LA. Because it's extreme differences. Either you got the girl who's superficial and she thinks she the shit, or you got the girl who's affiliated with a gang, bro. You don't know what you're getting. Or you might get both. So LA, I would put them like in like opposites of New York City women. You gotta be real careful. You gotta get to know this girl. And last but not least, all of these women I named, if you meet them on your terms. Tell them to meet you where you need to be. Don't go to the house. Don't pull up on them nowhere, bro. Don't pull up. Don't do it. Don't meet them at no hotel. You meet them at a designated area and you pick the place. And by no means do you go to her apartment.
100%. 100%. I'm going to do some honorable mentions. I think Camden, New Jersey.
Oh,
Philly.
man. Who's going there?
Camden, New Jersey.
Looks like the book of Eli, bro. Like, why?
This Camden's like the book of Eli.
You should pull up a picture of it. If you just
this is Camden, just like the book of Eli.
If you Google Camden, New Jersey, and click on images, I I ain't gotta tell you. Watch the pictures come up.
Oh God. Down now.
Bro, I'm telling you, it's bad,
Oh, bro. He
It's
said
bad,
it was
bro.
like the book of Eli.
Look at
This
Eli,
is
bro. Like,
crazy.
put it on.
Oh, here it is.
It's bad, bro.
Oh,
Damn.
Yo,
Shit, that looks like
that's Camden, New Jersey, ladies. That shit look like The Wire.
that looks like East Baltimore. Oh yeah, he said The Wire. He said it looks like The Wire because that's Baltimore.
No, Camden, New
That
Jersey.
does look like East
and
Baltimore.
His cousin Kensington Avenue.
Yeah, but New Jersey does look like Baltimore. Some people often.
Yes.
Philly is right next door to that.
Yep.
Oh, Philly's another place. Watch out for the
Really? But again, I have personal experience because being from there. But why? Yeah. Why wouldn't you deal with Philly women if you had the opportunity?
I would, but the Philly women are just. For instance, listen.
My first girlfriend was from Philadelphia.
We're the hierarchy. We're in control.
But I'm glad I've been married.
Typically, where the men are tough, the women are going to be just as tough. Philly, the dudes is tough.
Which, by the way, is why I caution people to don't look. Red pill often makes a lot of sense, but some of these manosphere red people type who say you should meet a woman right out of high school, they're wrong. Because the guy from Poor Man Podcast often says that he met his wife in high school, and that's fine. But no, I disagree. Like, I agree with Kevin Samuels. Like, you should be waiting until you like at least 30, if not 35, before you settle down and get married. Because up until that time, one, you should be building your career. You should be focusing on your education and then your career in your teens and 20s. Then by the time you hit 30, 35, then you're ready for like a marriage, a long-term relationship. But the other reason that I don't think Kevin pointed out, at least I don't recall him doing so, is that your tastes change. Like, you don't really know what you want. Like, when you're in high school, you're just happy to find someone to let you bust a nut. And you don't have that much experience with all types of different women unless you happen to be someone who lived somewhere like Queens or the DMV. I'm not talking about women though, Agatha. I'm talking about men. Women should definitely settle down early. They should be settling down somewhere between 21 and 27, somewhere around there before they hit the wall. Because as Kevin Samuels said, once they hit 27, they're in the danger zone. Danger zone. But yeah, women should be settling down somewhere around 21 and 27. Not 18. I don't think anyone out of high school, girl, male or female, should be marrying at that age. That may have worked for our grandparents and great grandparents and all that sort of stuff, but people's tastes change. This is why people say they fall out of, like, women, like for women it's like they fall out of love because they realize that this is not the sort of person they're want to be with now that they actually have grown a bit. But for men, it taste change. Like, my first girlfriend was this dark skinned black chick. That's no shade to dark skinned black women because I dated a lot of them, but that's not someone who I would have been interested in now. And once I hit my late 30s, that was not the type of woman I was interested in anymore. I wanted something more exotic. Sorry, I know how that sounds, but people's taste change. And I don't just mean physically. Like, you might still physically be attracted to the same sort of woman, but the type of woman you might be interested in may change. Like, you may have been into like the loud, brash woman because you thought it was you know because I this is another thing for me. Like I used to like the little sassy, brash sort of women when I was younger. So I was like, I figured like, you know, you can tame them. Like you like I thought it was cute and that, I like seeing their softer side when moments of intimacy. But now no, I would totally not want to be with someone who's like a battle rapper, like the guy Will Mills is saying, the comedian that Justin James is talking to here. I would totally not want someone like that anymore. My first girlfriend, by the way, was not like that. She was not the sassy, abrasive sort of black chick at all, which is what attracted me to her. But aside from that, I physically I wouldn't have found her attractive like I did now, and I would have even regretted settling down that early. Not to mention with some of my other exes who were either light skinned or mixed, I would have regretted being with them too because my tastes have changed both in the type of mindset I want from a woman and physically what the aesthetics that I like. So no one should be settling at the age. So I disagree with red pill commentators who have a conservative Christian leaning, saying you should. That's the best time to meet someone's like right out of high school, or if not right out of college. I'm like, cause you again when you in your teens and early 20s for a guy, you're just happy to bust a nut. You don't really know what your preference is yet, and once you do develop your preferences, you might find out that the person you're with doesn't meet it. Now you're sitting there like watching porn for the type of women you actually are into. You sitting there watching black.com or Asian takes Asian takes BBC or Latina takes BBC because you realize I actually want a Latina woman, or no, I actually want an Asian woman, or I want a snow bunny. Now you can't because you settled down early for the first chick to knob you off. You got kids with her, so you're stuck. So don't do that to yourself, young folk, young bucks. Wait till you're at least 30, not 35. I would say 35, but at least 30 to before you decide to settle down with someone. Because at least by 30 or 35, you actually know what your actual preferences are. For me, like I said, even at 30, no, 35, yeah, definitely. um, but yeah. Anyway, after this video ends, I'm gonna end it here. Remember, it's Happy Spider-Man Day, and you guys go see Spider-Man. Agatha's gonna take her nephew to see it, and go take him to Target to get him some cool toys. Yeah, look at LeBron James married his high school sweetheart. Yeah, and that's a good example of when it works out. Although I've heard that he does do his thing on the side. Most NBA players do. Um, but he's more discreet about it than Kobe was.
It's a tough place. So the women, in order for them to survive, they also got to emulate the behaviors of the men. So that's why
I can't substantiate that. So
you're not gonna
that's
find
my
a bunch
speculation.
of sweet, nice,
that a lot of other people have
around a bunch
suggested
of
as
it don't
well.
work that way.
No.
So yeah, Philly definitely. Philly, the men are tough.
But again,
that's my.
I don't know what to say, but yeah. I think it's bad to marry your high school sweetheart because she may not be what your preference is once you become like a man. Like a guy doesn't really become a grown man until his 30s, and by that time, you know what you want, and the person you're with may not be what you actually want anymore. And for women, that happens as well. Like a lot of them say they fall out of love with guys because they realize once they are out of that, once they're no longer once they're no longer digmatized by these guys, is not really what they want. So no one should be getting married straight out of high school. The reason why examples of like LeBron and his wife stand out so much is because they aren't the norm. That's why people can point to it and say, "Yeah, but look how successful he is," and and it's because he's an example. He's an exception that proves the rule. Like I don't think anyone should be getting married straight out of high school. Like yes, I know that is the traditional thing, and I often harp on tradition, but that is a tradition that betrays men. Unfortunately, you can't because since most women are modern women, which mean modern women is just a nicer way of saying they're feminists. But since most women on some level are feminists, unless you get again a woman from the rural countryside of America, most women are feminists, aka modern, and I think is you you're leading yourself into trouble getting married straight out of high school with these women who've been brainwashed into feminism. Not to mention again your actual preferences, whatever they may be, haven't formed yet because you're just happy that someone is slobbing your knob. You don't know what your preference is until much later, and then you realize, like, I'm stuck with this. Then a lot of these guys become passive bros once they divorce and actually go with what they actually like. Then they go to the countries where they find the women physically desirable. They go to Colombia or Brazil or Dominican Republic or Thailand or the Philippines, um, or they go to Europe, particularly like places like Germany, and before there was a war to you know Ukraine, because Ukraine is known for beautiful women. If you like the Barbie type, um, but Eastern Europe tends to have the most beautiful women in Europe. So um, then there's other countries too, but I'm just not gonna name them because I don't want. Frankly, I don't want niggas fucking up those other countries in Southeast Asia. But anyway, I'm gonna let this video rock and then I'm done.
Philly and Brooklyn are like cousins. We beef. I beef with Philly all the time online. I love Philly. I love performing there, and that's like my second market where I get the most love as far as social media. Philly really mess with my content,
Nice.
and yeah, we neck and neck. But a lot of people think I'm from Philly because of the beard and but I don't talk like them. They got you know. I don't say head and bed and getting. I don't talk like that, bro.
Yeah, people from Philly sound like they from Baltimore. Or do people from Baltimore sound like they from Philly? I don't know. But that's why people don't automatically know where a person is from that speaks with a Baltimore accent. Because it can be misconstrued as someone from New Jersey or Philly, but it won't be confused with someone from DC. People from DC sound country. They sound southern.
Oh my God, here we go, man.
But a person from Baltimore can either sound like they from the South or they from New Jersey.
And
The Baltimore accent has changed over the years. My friend Marcus and I remarked on that. Like the Baltimore, the, the Baltimore accent, or I should say the how black people talk in Baltimore specifically, which is called an ethnolect. An ethnolect is how a dialect is spoken by a particular ethnic group. That's called an ethnolect. So the Baltimore ethnolect for black people living in Baltimore has changed over the past 30 years. It used to sound more like someone who might be from South Jersey. Now it sounds more like it sounds more southern, and it's actually more difficult to understand than it was back in the day. But then I don't really converse with too many locals like that, except like when I'm at a local store or something. Anyway, that's it for this stream. I didn't mean for it to go this long. Pause. But that's it. Peace out. Bye, Agatha. Thanks for rocking with me again. And thank you for the super chats again as well.